the Almighty Pokémon Master. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 651, King Level Electric Shock Monster. Boom boom boom, 3 strong thunderbolts fell from the sky, creating a big pit at the place where the electric shock monster was. It's done. Zhang Xingyun sensed a strong pressure from the King of Heaven and knew that the electric shock monster had successfully broken through. Boom boom boom, the thunder clouds in the sky were still rolling violently, waiting for their turn. Hey boo on the ground, the electric shock monster was half crouching on the ground, with arcs flashing on its body, its eyes shining, looking at the rolling black clouds in the sky. Then, with the help of the power of thunder and lightning, it soared into the sky. Boom, several more thunderbolts fell from the black clouds in the sky, rushing towards the electric shock monster. Hey boo, the electric shock monster clasped its hands, and the thunder fragments on its body shone with light. The thunderbolts stopped around the electric shock monster, and then the electric shock monster turned in the air, and several thunderbolts were wrapped together and struck other places. Boom, with a loud noise, an area in the distance turned into a huge pit under the thunder strike, and black smoke came out of the pit. The original trees and rocks were all turned into ashes under this blow. Hey boo, thunder and lightning flashed in the sky, and the electric shock monster struck out multiple thunders one after another, which fell to the ground, leaving a mess wherever it passed. From this messy scene, it can be seen that the attack power of the electric shock monster is not small. Boom, the dense thunder, under the traction of the electric shock monster, struck down and wrapped around its body, and then turned into a huge ball of thunder and lightning, and fell to the distant mountain together with the electric shock monster. Boom, with a loud noise, the ground shook slightly. Zhang Xingyun looked around, and saw that the original mountain top, where the electric shock monster was located, had been charred black, and a corner had been cut off. The electric shock monster stood in the charred black pit that was more than 10 meters deep, and looked energetic. Hey boo, the electric shock monster was very satisfied with his masterpiece. With this attack, he could compete with the late king, but in this environment, it was limited by this. What excited him most was that he could initially control the thunder. Thinking of this, the electric shock monster touched the thunder fragments on his chest that flashed with yellow light. It successfully broke through the king and overtook others. Its strength soared. With the attack just now, the electric shock monster felt that the flying type Pidgeot and Charizard were probably not its opponents. Perhaps only the boss Nidoking could withstand its attack just now. Hey boo, thinking of this, the electric shock monster shouted, feeling very happy. It was back to the first sequence. Ha, congratulations, electric shock monster, you broke through to the king. Zhang Xingyun teleported and appeared in front of the electric shock monster, with Nidoking and others beside him. Nido Hazan Kami, all the elves congratulated the electric shock monster, congratulating it for breaking through the king and gaining strength stronger than the king. Electric shock monster, I saw you just now. Can you control the power of thunder and lightning? Hey boo, the electric shock monster nodded and responded. Ha, not bad. It seems that this thunder fragment is of great help to you. Keep working hard. There is still a lot of room for improvement in this regard. Hey boo, name, electric shock monster, male, attribute, electricity characteristics, energetic qualification, deep blue strength, king's initial stage skills, stare, electric shock, lightning flash, charge, electric shock wave, piercing sound, 100,000 volts, thunder fist, flame fist, ice fist, thunder, hold. Destruction light, crack tile, ultimate impact, lower body kick, electromagnetic field. The system interface in front of Zhang Xingyun showed the information of the electric shock monster. During this period of training, not only strength has improved, but also qualifications, breaking through from light blue to deep blue. At this level of qualifications, it is very difficult to break through. What surprised Zhang Xingyun even more was that the electric shock beast could actually master the power of thunder in the sky. Although it was assisted by the thunder fragments and was only a preliminary mastery, it was already very good. When it came to the elves that could master the power of thunder in the sky, Zhang Xingyun thought of the mythical beasts such as the lightning bird and the lightning cloud. The electric shock beast now also has this trend. If it continues to develop vigorously, it will have great potential in the future. Hoo, the rain was getting smaller and smaller, and the thunder stopped. In a cave, Zhang Xingyun and the electric shock beasts were resting here. Hey boo, the physical strength of the electric shock beast has been fully restored, and the state is full, so he shouted that he wanted to go to the forest to find a suitable opponent for a battle. Okay, let's go. Zhang Xingyun agreed, and then took the 3 elves, the electric shock beast, the forest lizard, and the haunter, into the forest. The road in the forest was very muddy after the rain. The rain soaked the fallen branches and leaves on the ground, emitting an unpleasant smell. Now the rain has stopped, but the Pokémon in the forest seem to be resting in their nests. Zhang Xingyun led 3 Pokémon and searched in the forest. The current location is already deep in the forest. Generally, low-level trainers dare not come here. Zhang Xingyun's spiritual sense moved slightly, and he found a curled up Arbok in a corner. There were several scars on his body, and it was bleeding. There was also a half body of a toucan next to it. It was bloody, but it was covered by a large piece of fallen leaves and mud, so ordinary people could not find it. Who will go for the elite late stage Arbok? Zhang Xingyun looked at the forest lizard and haunter and said it took a long time to find it, so he would not let it go. His haunter said first, eager to try. Okay, then you go ahead, haunter. With your strength, you can do it. I won't use the spirit possession technique. After the last gym battle, Haunter also broke through to the mid-elite level and became even stronger. His Haunter clicked on the attack, smiled cunningly, and then sneaked into the shadow of a tree nearby and rushed towards it. Bang bang bang, the fight began. Haunter started with a sneak attack, and after the sneak attack succeeded, he took the opportunity to expand his advantage. Arbok naturally would not surrender and launched a counter-attack. Hiss bang bang bang. After a fierce battle, Arbok was killed on the spot. Haunter carried Arbok's body to Zhang Xingyun to ask for credit. Yeah, great. Hiss. Zhang Xingyun continued walking with the 3 Pokémon. A breeze blew, and a small figure fell from a dense tree, and the direction of the fall was exactly Zhang Xingyun. What is that? Why didn't I find it? Zhang Xingyun immediately released his supernatural power and suspended the falling objects. Human trainer, I need your help. A low voice came from the green creature in front of him. Chapter 652 Zygote. Zhang Xingyun was stunned when he saw the green creature in front of him. The green figure in front of him was in the shape of a green worm with only one eye, but it looked very weak, and its aura was extremely weak, as if it had reached its limit. Zygote. Zhang Xingyun exclaimed, and stopped the next move of the 3 electric beasts. The green creature in front of him was indeed Zygote, but it was only a core form with almost no combat power. Trainer, I need your help. Zygote repeated. His tone was extremely weak and intermittent. How can I help you? Zhang Xingyun said immediately. There are very few records about Zygote in this world. He knew about it thanks to the anime he had watched in his previous life. Ahem. I'm not in good condition now, and I will fall into a deep sleep soon. Before that, I need your help. Zygote's one eye looked straight at him, and a faint green light shone on his body, and his voice was weak. I need your life energy. Why do you trust me? Because of your breath. After saying this, its whole body curled up and stopped moving, as if it fell into a deep sleep. My breath? Is my breath so trustworthy? Looking at the curled up Zygote on his palm, Zhang Xingyun couldn't help asking himself. However, he still used his own life energy and input it. Nourished by Zhang Xingyun's life energy, the curled up Zygote relaxed a little, but only a little. After a while, Zhang Xingyun stopped the transmission of life energy, and his face turned pale. Life energy cannot be transmitted too much. Although it can be restored through training, it also takes time. However, Zhang Xingyun was in trouble again. What should he do with it on his palm now? Place it close to the body, or put it in the Pokeball? Placing it close to the body will naturally bring a lot of inconvenience and will be discovered by others. After thinking about it, Zhang Xingyun tried to communicate with it mentally, but got no response. Can I put you in the Pokeball? It's easy to be exposed if you leave it outside. Are you still conscious? Zhang Xingyun tried to communicate with it, but got no response. After thinking for a while, he took out an empty Ultra Ball and put it in it. Crack. After putting it in the Ultra Ball, cracks appeared on the surface of the ball immediately, and then there was a muffled sound, and it appeared outside again. I can only trouble you to stay in the Pokeball. It's easy to be discovered outside. Do you understand? But there was no response. It was still sleeping, but its body flickered. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun took out another Ultra Ball and tried to put it in. This time it didn't come out. Zhang Xingyun picked up the Ultra Ball on the ground and exhaled. Hey boo hi G Electabuzz and Haunter asked it, and pointed at the Ultra Ball in his hand. It's a divine beast, but it's just a part of it. Zhang Xingyun said. Hey boo Electabuzz opened his eyes wide, looked at the Pokemon in his hand, and yelled. It's quite special. It's quite weak at the moment, but it's indeed a divine beast. In its complete state, it's a very strong divine beast. It's just strange. How did it fall to this? Its aura is extremely weak and weak. It shouldn't be like this. Even if it's in this state, it shouldn't be like this. Zhang Xingyun was very confused. Logically speaking, even Zygarde in this state wouldn't be in such a situation unless there were other circumstances. Then, Zhang Xingyun shook his head. If there were other circumstances, it was not something he could intervene in. It was useless to think about it. Since this core came to seek his help, he naturally had to help. It would be good to have a good relationship with Zygarde. Maybe he could get its help in the future. It might be because the core's strength was too low and it didn't have the unique pressure of a divine beast. It was also because his vision had improved and his mentality had changed. When he saw this core, he wouldn't be as nervous and restrained as when he saw Suicune. Let's go. Let's go deeper. After hanging the Pokeball, Zhang Xingyun said. Hey boo hi G Chamo. One person and 3 elves swept around the forest for a few times. At about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Zhang Xingyun came to the outside of Yangcheng City, got off the back of Pidgeot, changed to a car, and drove to his residence. At this time, the dark clouds in the sky had dispersed, and the sun came out, emitting light and heat. After dealing with the things in his hands, Zhang Xingyun came to his residence. Bang bang bang. Walking into the residence, he heard several noises coming from the direction of the training ground. It should be Page Engine and the others who were training. Everyone is here. Zhang Xingyun walked in and said to everyone, "You're back. Did the electric shock monster break through smoothly?" Nangang Yeo asked. "It went smoothly. After the breakthrough, I took it to find a suitable opponent in the forest." Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. "Congratulations, your strength has become stronger again." "Thank you. Where are Chenjin and the others?" "They went to the training ground next door," Long Zhao replied, pointing to a villa next door. "Okay, I'll go train too." Zhang Xingyun also rushed there. There wasn't much space left in the original training ground. After chatting with Page Engine and Kan Xiuming on the field, he asked the elves to come out and continue training. Zhang Xingyun also walked aside and watched the elves training. "Where did you meet the Crystal Steelix? You actually subdued it." In the evening, everyone gradually stopped training. Page Engine came over and said to him. He also cultivated Steelix, and his aptitude was not low. His strength had also reached the peak of the late Qua seeking. He only needed an opportunity to break through to the king. "In the wild in the Magic City, I also spent some time and effort to subdue it." Zhang Xingyun smiled and replied, thinking of how he subdued it, which took a lot of time and energy. "It's extremely rare. It's not common." "Yeah, what's the matter? Do you want to subdue a Crystal Steelix too?" "Haha, I'm a little tempted. I'll send you the location. There may be more there." "Thank you. 3 of you, it's time for dinner." Lan Yuchen was shouting in the distance. "Let's go, it's time to eat." "Okay." When they arrived at the dining hall, the table was already filled with steaming, fragrant delicacies. Everyone started eating. "You're such a busy man. I thought you would take us to Guangzhou today, but you were busy again." Zimeng Meng looked at Zhang Xingyun and said, "I can't control the breakthrough either." Zhang Xingyun spread his hands and said helplessly, "You've added another king of combat power. I'm so envious." Chapter 653, Back to the Fighting Gym. You've said this more than a dozen times. If you really want to envy me, you should work harder. Your Lucario's aptitude is not low. You can break through to the king level as soon as possible. Zhang Xingyun looked at Lan Yachun and said, alas, I want to, but it's so difficult and tiring. Lan Yachun said with a bitter face. If it were easy, there would be kings everywhere. Zhang Xingyun replied, moving his chopsticks to eat. Forget it, forget it. There's no rush. Let's take it one step at a time. Lan Yachun shook his head and buried his head in eating. The heavy rain these days seems to be related to a battle in the South China Sea. Long Zhao suddenly said. How do you say it? I got the news this morning. It said that an important base of the rocket team was encircled and suppressed. 3 beast masters from the South Vietnam province and many masters sent by the central government participated. It's hard to say the details, but with such a large-scale force, this matter will definitely not be small. Long Zhao analyzed, and Zhang Xingyun and others nodded, agreeing very much. Even the beast envoys have been sent out. This must be a big deal. Could it be? At this time, a flash of inspiration came to Zhang Xingyun's mind. Could the encounter with Zygote in the morning be related to this matter? Thinking of this, Zhang Xingyun started to associate again, and felt that this was still possible. Things of this scale are not something we can intervene in now. It is more important to study hard and improve our strength. Long Zhao continued, looking at everyone. That's right, even the beast envoys have appeared. With that scale, we are at a level like that. If we get involved, we will probably lose our lives. Lan Yachun said loudly. Any beast involved is a big event. With his current strength of the quasi-king level, it is really not enough. So, let's eat first. Only when we are full can we have the energy to train the elves, strengthen our strength, and finally participate in events of this scale. So eating is the most important thing. Haha, that makes sense. Let's eat. Eat. The 7 people started eating in chopsticks and started eating lively. The next morning, Zhang Xingyun, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed, opened his eyes sparkling. He picked up a Pokeball and turned on the switch. The next moment, a small green figure appeared in front of him, which was the core form of Zygote. Zhang Xingyun moved his hand, and a stream of pure life energy penetrated his body and sank into the core of Zygote. A faint green light lit up on the core, but as Zhang Xingyun stopped transmitting, the faint light also dissipated. Zhang Xingyun exhaled, picked up the Pokeball, and put it back. I'm really curious about my ability. It's actually beneficial to the mythical beast. Zhang Xingyun murmured. Both Regirock's life core and this Zygote's core can be used. Then he shook his head again. There was no point in worrying about this, and there was no need to worry about it. He opened the door and went to the bathroom to wash up. Then Pei-Chen and the others also walked out of the door one after another. After saying good morning to each other, Zhang Xingyun went to the training ground to train the Pokémon. After breakfast, Zhang Xingyun and his group rushed to the fighting gym in Yangcheng. Among the 7 of them, except for him and Nangang Yao, the other 5 were going to challenge the gym. Pei-Chen and the other 2 were only 1 badge away from collecting 8, while Lan Yachun and the other 2 were just joining in the fun and collecting the badges of the Yangcheng fighting gym. Regarding the number of badges, the competition requires at least 8, and more than 8 is naturally possible. There are also some trainers who are keen on collecting badges. They have gone through all the gyms in China and collected the badges of all the gyms. Looking at the familiar gym gate, Zhang Xingyun stepped in. Hey, Xingyun, why are you here? Why didn't you tell me that you were coming to Yangcheng? Walking on the main road of the gym, he ran into Yi Crossing, who was walking over. At this time, he was still wearing a training suit. Haha, Yi Crossing, you are here too. I'm not afraid to disturb you. Zhang Xingyun laughed, greeted him, and talked to him. What are you talking about? What do you mean by disturbing or not? By the way, who are they? Oh, I forgot to introduce them to you. They are my classmates in Shanghai. These 3 are my roommates. It's a good opportunity for us to get to know each other. Zhang Xingyun looked at Pei-Chen and the others and introduced them. This is Yi Crossing, a classmate from high school and a very good friend. Hello. Yi Crossing smiled warmly and greeted them. Hello, hello. Lan Yachun and the others also greeted each other in a friendly manner and shook hands. Since they are Xingyun's friends, they are also my friends. Yi Crossing spoke to everyone enthusiastically and then led them into the gym. With his help, they quickly completed the formalities and came directly to the training ground. Xingyun, why didn't you say no earlier? You could have just come to the gym directly. Why bother? No, we just arrived in Yangcheng the night before yesterday. We wanted to find you yesterday, but the electric shock monster had a breakthrough opportunity, so it went to breakthrough. I see. There was a round of applause on the field. The battle with the gym owner Yiyuan was over. After a few minutes, Lan Yuchen was called. Hahaha brothers, I'm going. Lan Yuchen stood up with a smile and walked up. By the way, Yi Crossing, don't you think it's hard to be a warrior? Looking at you like this, aren't you practicing martial arts? Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. Oh, don't mention it. I was captured by force. They said that the energy feedback from the elves alone is far from enough to protect myself. I have to practice martial arts. I haven't practiced to a certain level, and they won't let me go out to hang out. Yi Crossing said with a look of disappointment. This is also for your own good. It's still quite dangerous outside in the wild. Zhang Xingyun said lightly. I know, but practicing martial arts is so tiring and painful. After I came back to Yangcheng last time, I practiced here. I practiced in the hottest days of summer and the coldest days of winter. My muscles hurt when I went to bed at night. Yi Crossing said contemptuously. You have achieved some success now. I can feel a strong internal energy in you. Of course, if you still haven't cultivated internal energy after so long under the guidance of your uncle, I will kill myself with a piece of tofu. Hahaha, with your current physical strength, a brick can't do anything to you, let alone tofu. Zhang Xingyun laughed. Hey, how does your current strength compare to the elite level elves? Nangang Yeo asked. In the early elite stage, I can win. In the middle stage, I narrowly win. And in the late stage, I'm deadlocked. By the way, the reference elves are general fighting elves. I haven't tried other elves yet. Yi Crossing spoke slowly, talking about his own strength as a warrior. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 654 The Journey Ends. That's good too. You can fight against elves and protect yourself in the wild. Zhang Xingyun nodded. Yi Crossing should have a good foundation. With the guidance of martial arts master Yiyuan, it is not surprising that he has achieved this. Fortunately, I still have to work harder. If I were like you, I wouldn't have to work so hard. Yi Crossing said with a smile, looking at Zhang Xingyun and others with envy. During the chat, he also knew that Page Engine and others were all capable people. It's a pity you still have to practice martial arts well. Zhang Xingyun replied, and several people watched the battle on the field together. On the field, two Lucariots stood opposite each other. There were ripples in the space around them. It was a competition between Wavagites. Every move had a certain rhythm. The main thing was that Yiyuan's Lucario was teaching Lan Yuchen's Lucario. At this time, Lan Yuchen looked at the two elves on the field with a thoughtful look on his face. Until the end of the battle, he was still thinking about something. Zhang Xingyun saw Yiyuan on the field walking over, holding a badge in his hand, and handed it to Lan Yuchen, saying something to him. Lan Yuchen showed a look of joy, bowed to him, then took the badge, and continued to say something. More than 10 minutes later, Lan Yuchen came over with a happy face. It can be seen that he still gained something. After Lan Yuchen, Qin Xiuming came on the field. After a fierce battle, he also walked down with a satisfied smile. Hahaha, thank you brother Yi Crossing. This time, under the guidance of the owner, I have some insights. Lan Yuchen laughed and thanked Yi Crossing. You're polite, it's nothing. Yes, brother Yi Crossing, do you have time tonight? Let's go to dinner together. I'll treat you. Speaking of this, I'll treat you, if I have to. Yi Crossing chatted with several people, and the chat was very speculative, talking and laughing. Did Xingyun have any black history in high school? As they chatted, they talked about this. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I didn't. Yi Crossing shook his head. But at the beginning, Xingyun was still relatively weak. When I played against him for the first time, my Ghastly was defeated by his Nidoran. At that time, the gap between us was not that big. Later, he improved more and more, and won the championship and various competitions. Yi Crossing said slowly, talking about his past and some things in class. Hahaha, just as I expected, Xingyun is still with Nangang. When we were in school, I saw that they were interested in each other, and they went to the same university. Sure enough, hahaha. Yi Crossing laughed loudly. Zhang Xingyun also smiled, and sat with Nangang Yao without saying anything. Meng and the other person were also on the side, listening quietly, and occasionally saying a few words. Soon, Pei-Chen came down, and it was Meng's turn to play. Half an hour later, Meng also walked off the battlefield with a smile on her face, holding a badge in her hand. Afterwards, Long Zhao also went up, released her elves, and fought with Yi Yuan's elves. Half an hour later, she also came down with a smile on her face. Under his guidance, she should have gained something. After she finished the challenge, it was already noon. At the invitation of Yi Crossing, everyone had a meal in the gym. The food was specially made and contained high energy, which was also good for them as capable people. After eating, Yi Crossing led a few people to visit the gym and let everyone put on their training clothes to feel the daily practice of warriors. Lan Yachan seemed very interested and asked Yi Crossing for advice all the way. Okay, after practicing, it's time for the medicinal bath. This is also the most comfortable time after practicing, Yi Crossing said, arranging a female gym apprentice to take Nangang Yao and the other two to take a medicinal bath. The 5 of them came to a room similar to a medicinal bath. In the room, pieces of white mist rose up, and there were bursts of medicinal fragrance floating out. The 5 people were each soaking in a similar large cauldron, which contained brown potion. Not bad, not bad, so comfortable. Lan Yachan took a deep breath and leaned against the side, looking relaxed. Not bad. After practicing every day, this is the most comfortable time. Yi Crossing also leaned against the side, letting the potion moisturize his body. This potion not only relaxes the muscles and activates blood circulation, nourishes the internal breath, but also has many benefits, such as, hahaha. This medicinal bath uses some high-level herbs, made through some ancient recipes, which are unique to the fighting gym, and the effect is definitely not bad. Soaking in it, Zhang Xingyun also felt warm and comfortable on his body. Even though he is a person with abilities, it is good for him. The 5 people chatted while soaking. Lan Yachan and others also felt that Yi Crossing was very compatible with their temperament. After half a day, they were already very familiar with each other. In the evening, led by Yi Crossing, everyone came to a high-end hotel in Yangcheng for dinner. After dinner, he took everyone to the Yu River, took a cruise, and took a night cruise in the breeze, feeling the dark beauty of Guangzhou. In the next 2 days, Yi Crossing was very enthusiastic, and took everyone to play in Guangzhou. He visited many scenic spots, and tasted all the delicacies in Guangzhou. Meng and others were very satisfied, and became more familiar with Yi Crossing. On this day, the sun was shining brightly, and the sky was clear. In the lobby of Guangzhou Airport, 8 people were saying goodbye. Oh, isn't there a lot of time before the elf competition? Why don't you stay a few more days and let me entertain you? Why are you in such a hurry to go back to the Magic City? Yi Crossing complained. We can talk about the tour after the competition. Thank you for your hospitality these days. Zhang Xingyun thanked. Why are you saying this? Really? Yi Crossing, if you have time, come to the Magic City and let us entertain you. Lan Yachan said enthusiastically. Yes, we must come to the Magic City once. Qian Xiuming echoed. Pei-Chen and others also spoke one after another, inviting him to go. After spending the past few days together, they also felt that Yi Crossing was a person worth making friends with. Okay, I will definitely go when I have time. Yi Crossing nodded and agreed. Ding dong, passengers on the Magic City flight. While they were talking, the broadcast sounded, and it happened to be their flight. Okay, we are leaving first. Goodbye. Goodbye, come and play when you have time. Okay. Yi Crossing, you too, come and play in the Magic City when you have time. After a round of farewells, everyone went through several procedures, got on the plane, and waited for takeoff. Chapter 655 Return and Fight. Yi Crossing is quite enthusiastic. This friend can get along well. Lan Yuchen, who was sitting behind Zhang Xingyun on the plane, said. After spending the past few days together, Lan Yuchen felt that Yi Crossing was very compatible with his temperament, and the two of them also established a deep friendship. Well, he is quite good. Pei Chenjun also said, with a very agreeable tone. Yeah, I think so too. Zi Mengmeng followed up. She also felt so. That's good. Yi Crossing is still quite good. I have to invite him back next time I have a chance. I was also warmly received by him when I came to Yangcheng last time. Zhang Xingyun said slowly. Buzz buzz buzz. The plane vibrated, making a buzzing sound. Slowly moved, the speed became faster and faster, and then soared into the sky, straight into the clouds, and flew towards the direction of the magic city. Why don't you go back to Changning this time? Nangang Yao, who was leaning on his shoulder, responded to him telepathically. No, I went back once a while ago. Zhang Xingyun replied. How is Rijirok doing? He's one step closer to hatching. His aura has now reached the normal level 1. Whoosh. The plane was flying steadily in the sky. Below the plane was a continuous green mountain range, dotted with several azure lakes and yellow wastelands. Ding dong, gentlemen and ladies, the plane has arrived over the magic city. Please prepare to get off the plane and pack your belongings, to prevent any inconvenience caused by leaving them in the cabin. Near dusk, the plane they were on arrived over the magic city. The journey was relatively safe, and they were not attacked by wild elves. Modu, we're back. After walking out of the airport, Zi Mengmeng said loudly, looking relaxed. In the process of challenging the gym, they also traveled around China. It has been more than a month since they left the magic city. Well, I'm back. Zhang Xingyun said softly, and in an open space, he took out the vehicle in the space, then merged into the traffic and drove towards Magic City University. Looking back on the experience of this month, Zhang Xingyun still decided that it was very meaningful and the journey was quite pleasant. During this journey, he experienced a lot of things, was taken care of by many people, and gained a lot. Now that the 8 badges have been collected, the next step is to prepare for the elf competition. A golden nest or a silver nest is not as good as your own doghouse. Ha ha ha. After returning to the dormitory, Lan Yuchen lay down on the sofa skillfully, posing familiar movements. Hey, it's a bit dirty. Brothers have to clean it up. Well, we have to clean it up. The 4 of them are all capable people who can use their superpowers to clean. A few minutes later, a brand new and clean dormitory appeared in front of the 4. It's cleaned so cleanly. If we can't make it in the future, let's set up a cleaning company. We are so professional and the cleaning effect is good. The business will definitely be good. Lan Yuchen dragged his chin and said as he looked at the cleaned dormitory. Ha ha ha, that's a great idea, worthy of praise. I'll follow you if I can't make it in the future. Zieming, if you come, I'll give you a general manager position at least. Ha ha ha. After making a joke, Zhang Xingyun went to the washroom to wash up, then returned to his room, sat cross-legged on the bed, and began to practice. Starlight flickered around his body, and then he got up. A night passed quickly. The next day, when it was still dawn, Zhang Xingyun had already opened his eyes. Crackle, he stretched his body, got up and washed up. After a while of preparation, he went to the school's breeding house, took the electric monsters with him, had breakfast in the cafeteria, and drove to the wild. In the city, after several disguises, he rushed to the suburbs, rode on the Pidgeot, and flew into the forest. In the forest, in a hidden cave, a pure life force came out of his body, and sank into a body about 2 meters long. The body is made of grey and orange rocks. There is an H pattern composed of 7 orange dots at the head, but it is indeed dim. There are also arms and legs, emitting a faint pressure, and an ordinary level of energy fluctuations. The body in front of him is naturally the life core of Rijirok. After a lot of resources and his life energy are injected, Rijirok's life core has now grown to this shape, but the consciousness is still in the process of forming. Zhang Xingyun exhaled a breath of turbid air, pinched his fingers, and stopped the transmission of life energy. Well, the outline of the body has grown out, just waiting for consciousness. After checking it once, he put it into the Pokeball. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, after a lot of breathing, he walked out of the cave, took the forest lizards, and went deep into the forest. Now in the wild, he has to keep in good condition, and can no longer transmit to Zygode's core. He can only wait until he rests. In the past few days, he has been transmitting life energy to it, but so far, Zygode's core has been sleeping, and has no reaction to calling it. Boom Chamo hiss. The forest lizard and Haunter joined forces to take down a colony of Alidus. Very good, but this time there was an element of sneak attack. Next time I suggest that we fight head on and increase the difficulty so that we can stimulate your potential, Zhang Xingyun said to the two elves, and then he cleaned up a few things casually and left the messy scene and walked deeper. It was close to the competition. During this period of time, Zhang Xingyun had already planned to improve the strength of the elves as much as possible. And the best way to improve strength is to fight. Under the premise of safety, fighting while giving instructions, the effect is still quite good. In the evening, Zhang Xingyun stopped fighting and found a place to rest. The elves such as the electric shock monster followed him. His Haunter shouted repeatedly, his body flashing with a faint light, and the aura on his body was also fluctuating violently. Are you going to evolve? Hiss. Don't worry, Haunter, you are going to evolve. It's normal. Zhang Xingyun said, taking out things from the space one by one. He took a few black stone-like things and walked to an open place and placed them in a triangle. After placing them, the space above the black stones rippled. The black stones are a treasure called ethereal stone, which can release space energy to assist Haunter's evolution. In Zhang Xingyun's opinion, this way of evolution is the real version of communication evolution. Chapter 656, Jenga's Visit. Haunter was in a space created by the ethereal stone, with the light of evolution on its body. Zhang Xingyun had naturally prepared the resources for Haunter's evolution. After Haunter drank a bottle of grey potion, Zhang Xingyun took out other treasures on the field to help Haunter evolve. There were objects like burning incense sticks on the ground, and several wisps of black smoke blew up, exuding a cold breath, lingering around Haunter's body, and then sank into its body. His Haunter let out a joyful cheer, and the light of evolution flashing on its body became more intense. But it still suppressed it, absorbing as much energy as possible, which was beneficial to itself. Just try your best, Haunter, don't be too greedy, Zhang Xingyun said loudly, reminding Haunter. Hiss. A dazzling light lit up, wrapping Haunter in it. In the light, Haunter's body was changing, and a fat figure slowly appeared in the light of evolution. Haunter's breath was also rising. A wave of air blew in all directions, and a brand new Pokémon appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun and the Pokémons. Hiss. A Jenga about 1.7 meters tall, chubby, with a sly smile on his face and a grayish-white body appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun and the Pokémons. The body of an ordinary Jenga is dark purple. Hiss. It's a shiny Jenga, not bad. Zhang Xingyun nodded, opened the system and scanned it, and the system interface showed Jenga's information. Name, Jenga, male, attributes, poison, ghost characteristics, cursed body qualification, light purple, flash, strength, elite late stage skills, hypnosis, strange light, licking tongue, song of destruction, black gaze, shadow fist, venom shock, tooth for tooth, resentment, evil wave, psychic power, flame fist, ice fist, lightning fist, trick space, sludge wave, spirit surprise attack. Trick space, seal. Jenga looks a bit fat, its hands are connected to the rest of its body, and it has a pair of legs and a short, pointed tail. Jenga's eyes are red, with some thorny protrusions on the back, and the corners of its mouth are often curved, with a sinister and terrifying smile. Jenga has the ability to completely hide in the shadow of any object, which makes it very good at stealth. Its body is like a heat sink, and its existence reduces the temperature of the surrounding area. Its body is like a space, and it can also carry a large number of items in its body. Qualification is also unexpectedly entering the purple level 1. Hiskayamo Meow. The forest lizards also congratulated it, congratulating it on its successful evolution. As Jenga approached, Zhang Xingyun felt the temperature drop by several degrees. During this period, let's work together to break through the qua-seeking as soon as possible. Zhang Xingyun smiled and said to Jenga in front of him, reaching out to touch its soft, cold head. That night, Zhang Xingyun and the elves stayed here for the night and did not return to school. It takes time to go back and forth, so it is better to leave more time and fight in the wild. After talking with Jenga for a while, he gave it a simple training and let it move freely. When he came to the cave, Zhang Xingyun took out a Pokeball, released Zygarde, and transferred a stream of life energy to it. Zygarde's core surface lit up faintly, but there was no sign of waking up. Regarding its matter, Zhang Xingyun was thinking about whether to report it, but he had to wait until it woke up. After a while, Zhang Xingyun stopped transferring energy, put it back into the Pokeball, and sat cross-legged to practice. Some of undertaking were in the cave, some were outside, and some were in the dark, guarding this place. The next morning, Zhang Xingyun stopped practicing, transferred energy to Rock, and after practicing for some time, he started another busy day. On an open plain grassland, several donja were basking in the warm sun. A flying Pokémon flapped its wings in the sky. Under the sunlight, the dew on the flowers and plants also reflected the light. A huge black shadow suddenly emerged from under the donjas and attacked them. After a battle, many weak donjas fell to the ground. On the field, there were 3 powerful donjas standing, looking at the uninvited guests in front of them with vigilant eyes. This uninvited guest was Jenga, who looked at the 3 donjas with a sinister smile. One of the 3 donjas roared loudly, as if it was the leader, as if warning Jenga. Jenga still had a sinister smile on his face, raised his hand, and threw out 3 shadow balls. Bang bang bang, several explosions sounded, and a large cloud of dust rose on the field. 3 figures rushed out from the smoke, and the 3 donjas used the rolling technique together, rushing towards Jenga at an extremely fast speed. Boom, as the 3 of them rolled, the ground shook slightly. Puff, the Zheng that was crushed overturned into nothingness with a puff. As soon as the 3 donjas stopped, 3 black fists appeared on the ground. Bang, the 3 donjas were hit and flew backwards. A pair of scalded eyes appeared from the side, staring at them straight. The donja launched another counter-attack, a beam of destructive death light into sharp stone attacks, all blasting away. Boom, a black shadow flashed by and appeared behind one of the donja, and 2 shadow fists slammed into it, knocking it to the ground, and then followed up with a wave of evil. Boom, the donja lay on the ground, unconscious, and the other 2 wanted to rescue it, but it was too late. Jenga smiled sinisterly, and his whole body sank into the ground and disappeared. The next moment, he appeared behind another donja and attacked again. Boom boom boom, after more than 10 rounds, 3 donjas lay on the ground together, unconscious, and Jenga floated beside them. Well done, Jenga, you took down a tribe at a small cost. There was a ripple in the space, and Zhang Xingyun appeared beside it. Very exciting. Great. The 3 donja defeated by Jenga were all at the qua-seeking level, one of which was at the peak of the early qua-seeking level, but they were all defeated by Jenga after the amplification of the spirit. The amplified Jenga's strength was also raised to the early qua-seeking level. He defeated 3 of them alone, which was a very good record. Let's go, let's continue. After packing up, Zhang Xingyun said. Then 1 man and 1 spirit rushed in one direction. Chapter 657, Powerful Electric Shock Monster. Boom boom boom, a fierce battle was taking place in a large river. The water was surging, and several Pokémon were floating on the river, already unconscious. Kami Blastoise was in the river, setting up 2 cannons, and with a bang 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 sound, several huge water waves exploded. On the river, Metagross and Jenga were also fighting together, besieging the Pokémon in the river. The Pokémon in the river were all water Pokémon, including several crocodiles and crocodiles. The 3 starter Pokémon, Metagross, which was suspended above, fired 1 shiny electric cannon after another, and cooperated with Blastoise below to attack the opposite Pokémon from 2 directions. Jenga was wandering around the field, waiting for an opportunity to harvest. Every time Jenga floated by, there were always a few Pokémon who lost their ability to fight and floated on the water. Bang bang bang, roar roar hiss meow. The field was full of mockery, and the bombardment sounded incessantly. On the shore, Zhang Xingyun and several other Pokémons, including Electabuzz, were watching the battle. I didn't expect to run into Tyranitar here. It's quite rare. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile as he watched the battle on the field. There are very few starter Pokémons in the wild. He happened to run into one today, so they can come and practice fighting with Jengar and Metagross. As a thank you, he gave them a job with food and lodging, so they don't have to run around in the wild, which benefits them, and some human trainers. As for taming, he doesn't have to worry about it. The value of starter Pokémons is also very high, worth a lot of contribution points. Among the 3 Pokémons that Jengar and the others besieged, there are also water-type Pokémon such as Golduck. Boom boom boom. 10 minutes later, as the last Tyranitar was hit by Blastoise, it fell into the water with a snap, announcing the end of the battle. Blastoise was slightly injured, but it consumed a lot of physical strength. Jengar and Metagross were both much more seriously injured, and their physical strength was running low, but fortunately the battle was over. Dang dang dang, a dozen Pokeballs were thrown out, and under Zhang Xingyun's control, all the valuable Pokeballs were collected into the Pokeballs. Then they floated back, and were put into the bag carried by Zhang Xingyun. Thank you for your hard work. Have a good rest. The next battle will be handed over to the Electro Beasts. Zhang Xingyun said to the 3 Pokémons. Midouchiji Madam Huaji, heal them. Hua Madam Huaji came out, releasing gentle healing energy, attaching to the 3 Pokémons. Let's have lunch here today. After lunch, take a break. In the afternoon, it's your turn to perform. Electro Beasts. Hey boo Q ho eat. Zhang Xingyun said with a chuckle, picked up a piece of compressed biscuit, and started eating it. The Pokémons also picked up the energy blocks and Pokémon food in front of them, and started eating together. A few figures flew across the dense jungle. The Tyrannosaurus was carrying the electric beast, and was chasing the elves in front. Hey boo the electric beast turned into a mobile turret, and was carried by the Tyrannosaurus. Its hands were dancing non-stop, and lightning struck down one after another, causing considerable damage to the elves in front. It was still yelling, trying to anger the elves in front. Lee the King Swallow in front stopped, glared at the 2 of them, and stopped running away. It turned around and killed them. Hey boo, on the back of the Tyrannosaurus, the electric beast showed a triumphant smile, and then used all its strength, crackling lightning and moving. With the help of lightning, it soared into the sky, and floated in the sky. Boom boom, above the head of the electric beast, a black cloud condensed, covering the bottom, and electric snakes were walking on the black cloud. Hey boo, the momentum of the electric beast became more majestic and powerful, and the space around its body was filled with lightning. At this time, the electric shock monster was like the arrival of the god of thunder, with extraordinary power. Hey boo boom, several thick lightning bolts struck down, and under the control of the electric shock monster, they struck the king swallows that turned around. Hiss, this attack hit 3 king swallows, and they all screamed and fell down. The 3 king swallows were not weak. One of them was still as strong as the first level of the king, and the other 2 were still at the peak of the late Quasi King. However, under the attack of the electric shock monster, they were shot down without any resistance. Hiss, this scene also startled the other king swallows. They were not on top, and quickly turned back, and wanted to escape. The electric shock monster struck several times, leaving only 2 of them, and the others flew away. Hey boo, the electric shock monster fell back on the back of the Tyrannosaurus, stopped chasing, and picked up the king swallow that had just been shot down. The minefield that the electric beast can control is not large. If it can reach the level of a sky full of black clouds, the electric beast people can let them see the thunderbolt, and the powerful big swallows will not be able to escape. These big swallows are already the 3rd wave of elves they have defeated. They were all shot down on the spot by the violent thunder and lightning of the electric beast. Of course, there are also the contributions of the Tyranitar and others. Pipigiat carried Zhang Xingyun from the back, and Charizard followed beside him. Hahaha, electric beast, you can now be called a flying killer. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. He was very surprised at the combat power of the electric beast. He didn't expect that the electric beast could attract thunder and use the power of thunder and lightning in the sky to fight. The elves, restrained by the electric system with the same strength, could not survive the 3 moves of the electric beast, but were limited by the range. Hey boo. After encouraging a few words, Zhang Xingyun led Nidoking and others to wander in this inner circle, looking for predestined elves. In the evening, a handsome Pidgeot streaked across the sky, attracting many trainers below to look up. Outside the demon city, Pidgeot slowly descended, and Zhang Xingyun, wearing a black robe, jumped off the back of Pidgeot. After putting away the Pidgeot, he ignored the gazes of the people around him, and disappeared in a flash. What a handsome Pidgeot, with this terrifying aura. It must be a level 1 Pokémon. Yes, this trainer is also a supernatural power user. Judging from his appearance, he has great magical powers. I don't know which big shot came to experience life in the wild. After Zhang Xingyun left, many trainers at the scene discussed. After returning to the city, Zhang Xingyun went to the Pokémon Center as soon as possible and dealt with a batch of Pokémons in his hands. He got a lot of contribution points and exchanged for a batch of supplies. The rest were handed over to Wang Zuana to deal with. After a busy period, Zhang Xingyun returned to school. The atmosphere in school is still comfortable. Walking on the way to the school, looking at the youthful students laughing and playing on the road, Zhang Xingyun chuckled. Chapter 658 School Matters. After sending the electric shock monsters to the training house in the school, Zhang Xingyun walked back to the dormitory. The door of the dormitory was opened, and Zhang Xingyun walked in from the outside. Looking around, the 3 roommates were all there. Wow, Xingyun, you are finally back. Yeah, you are back. Is there any need to be so surprised? Zhang Xingyun responded, walked to the water dispenser, and poured a glass of water to drink. I'm not surprised. I have something important to tell you. Lan Yuchen said loudly, pulling him to sit on the sofa. The counselor has contacted me several times, asking whether you are in school, and asked me to notify her when you return to the dormitory. What's the matter? Why did she contact you so many times? Zhang Xingyun was confused. Thinking back, nothing big has happened recently, and he has not done anything out of the ordinary. Why did the counselor contact him to ask about his schedule? We were kicked out. Kicked out? Then what? Isn't Liu Ruhan in the school? Besides, Nangang and the others are also here, so there's no point in looking for me. The challenge is also a learning exchange. It's not surprising that other universities have come to Magic City University for exchange and learning in the past few days. The key is that they all lost today and were beaten through. Nangang and Chenjun both went up and failed. Lan Yuchen explained. All defeated. Which university is the opponent from? So powerful. Zhang Xingyun replied. You know, Nangang Yao and others are not weak either, but they were defeated. National Defense. At this time, Pei Chenjun, who was sitting opposite, spoke up. National Defense University? They are both in the top 10 of China, so it's possible. Most of the people who came this time are similar to us, but there is one person who is extremely powerful and has a divine beast. Nangang Yao and the others were defeated by him. Pei Chenjun said lightly. Divine beast. This. Zhang Xingyun was a little surprised. During this exchange and learning, a student actually subdued a divine beast. Yes, it's the mythical beast Regishiru. Pei Chenjun added. I don't know what kind of luck that person had. He actually subdued the mythical beast. After it appeared, Liu Ruhan and the others were no match at all. Oh, it's too lucky today. Even the mythical beast appeared. Lan Yuchen couldn't help but complain. So the counselor contacted me just to let me play. Yes, after all, you are the strongest in our class. Maybe you can beat him. At least you have more hope than them. That's a pity. It's not too late. They are still in school. They have to stay for several days, and the exchange is not over yet. Lan Yuchen continued. Well, what is the strength of that person? Zhang Xingyun looked at Pei Chenjun and asked. I heard from Dean Lin that he is in the late stage of the Heavenly King, but he is stronger than some late peak elves. Maybe he can fight with the champion. He is very powerful. Pei Chenjun said slowly, picked up the notebook in front of him, and moved it in front of Zhang Xingyun. His name is Yang Zuan. He is a freshman at the National Defense University this year. For some reason, he was recognized by this mythical beast. In addition, he is studying at the National Defense University. Maybe he is a military man. On the computer interface, the young man has handsome features, slightly dark skin, shaved head, wearing camouflage uniforms, and smiled brightly at the camera, revealing a mouthful of white teeth. Next to him, There is a grey-white giant elf with a hexagonal pattern, composed of 7 red dots flashing on its face. It is the mythical beast Regishaloo. Regishaloo. Zhang Xingyun stared at Regishaloo on the computer interface, and couldn't help but think of Richalock, who was still in the Pokémon Ball. How is it? It looks imposing, right? This is the mythical beast Regishaloo, Lan Yuchen said on the side, looking at Regishaloo on the computer interface with awe. Well, it's very powerful, worthy of being a mythical beast. Zhang Xingyun also agreed. The divine beast of the National Defense University is Regishaloo, right? This Regishaloo may be a member of its tribe. I don't know how he got its recognition. Pei Chenjin looked envious. This is a divine beast. Even as a child of the Pei family, he was envious. Xingyun, if you fight against him, what are your chances of winning? Pei Chenjin asked. According to the information you said, nowadays, in terms of single combat, I'm afraid that no elf can defeat it. Zhang Xingyun said with a serious face. After all, it is the divine beast Regishaloo, not a simple elf. Then it's over. This time our school is probably going to be completely defeated. Lan Yuchen yelled, sat aside, took out his mobile phone and started swiping. Is there really no chance of winning? I don't know. It's hard to say. Dang dang dang. As he was talking, the door of the dormitory was knocked, and someone was outside. Who is it? Please come in. Catcher. After a click, 2 figures walked in. Teacher Li and Dean Lin, why are you here? The 2 figures were the Counselor Li Yingren and Dean Lin of the Battle Academy. I have something to tell Xingyun. I hope I'm not disturbing you. Counselor Li Yingren said to the 4 people with a smile. No, please sit down. Lan Yuchen stood up, vacated a seat for the 2 to sit down, and poured 2 glasses of water, and placed them in front of the 2. Xingyun, where have you been these days? After sitting down, Li Yingren spoke. Outside the city, in the wild, training Nidoking and the others. Hahaha, Xingyun is worthy of being the champion of this session. So hardworking. Dean Lin smiled, his face full of praise. It's good. Teacher Li, do you have something to tell me? Zhang Xingyun asked. At this time, Li Yingren and Dean Lin came to their dormitory, so they must have something important. Well, Teacher Li and I came here, and we do have something to ask you. Dean Lin nodded, and then said, you also know that in the past few days, the exchange group from the National Defense University has come to our Magic City University for exchange and study. Yes, I have heard of it. If it is an ordinary exchange and study, even if you lose, it's nothing. But this time it is not an ordinary exchange and study, but it is about whether a divine beast will be settled in the National Defense University or our Magic City University. At this point, Dean Lin's expression also became serious. So, tonight, Teacher Li and I came here to ask you, Xingyun, to fight against the National Defense University tomorrow. After saying that, Dean Lin looked at Zhang Xingyun. Okay, students will definitely fight to the best of their ability. Zhang Xingyun immediately agreed. Okay. Dean Lin was very pleased and continued. Of course, the school will not treat you unfairly. You can go to our school's logistics department to select 3 treasures, regardless of the grade. I hope Xingyun will do your best tomorrow. If you also lose, it means that our school has no chance to get that divine beast. Chapter 659. Preparing for battle with the divine beast. Whether you win tomorrow or not, this promise will be valid. Dean Lin said loudly. It's like the school's subsidy for you. Thank you, Dean. I will do my best in tomorrow's battle. Zhang Xingyun thanked him. No need. Who would have known that such a person would emerge in the National Defense University this year? Fortunately, our school also has you, Xingyun. Come on tomorrow. Okay. Zhang Xingyun nodded and responded. Do you have any problems in your daily life in the dormitory? Counselor Li Yingren asked, looking at the dormitory furnishings. No, this dormitory is also very good. Lan Yuchen replied. Okay, if there is any problem, you can also report it to me. No problem. Okay, it's getting late. The dean and I will go back first. After chatting for a while, Li Yingren stood up and said. The 4 of them sent them downstairs to the dormitory. Rest early today, Xingyun. Come on tomorrow. Okay, goodbye, teacher and dean. Goodbye. After sending the 2 away, the 4 returned to the dormitory. I didn't expect Deanlin to think so highly of you. He actually asked you to go to school and choose 3 treasures, regardless of the grade, regardless of winning or losing. After returning to the dormitory, Lang Yuchen said with envy. But think about it, it's understandable, right? Now you are the only kid left in the whole school. Tomorrow's battle with him will not be easy. You have to conserve your energy and be prepared. Pei Chenjin said slowly. Well, I know. Zhang Xingyun responded, sitting on the sofa, looking at the information about Yang Zuan on the computer. This one was sent by the counselor, which is more comprehensive, and there are also comments from many teachers. After reading it several times, Zhang Xingyun turned off the computer, chatted with his roommates for a while, and went back to his room to rest. In the room, after Zhang Xingyun was ready, he released the life core of Richelok and delivered energy. It's a pity that you haven't revived yet, Zhang Xingyun said as he looked at the 2-meter-long boulder in front of him. Rijilok, Rijishalu, and Rijias are called the 3 pillars of God, and they have a deep origin. After a while, Zhang Xingyun stopped, put Rijirok's life core back into the Pokeball, sat on the soft big bed, closed his eyes, and began to practice. There is still a tough battle to fight tomorrow. He must keep in good shape. The night passed quickly, and when the sky was white, Zhang Xingyun had already arrived at the breeding house in the school. Everyone, let's stop training today, because we have a tough battle to fight today. Zhang Xingyun stood in front of the Pokémon and said loudly. Heibu Nidohas and the electric shock monsters asked one after another, and it was worth him saying so. This time the opponent is very strong, and the opponent also has a mythical beast Richest Chilu, but as far as I know, the strength of this mythical beast is the late stage of the king, and we still have hope of winning. This time, it is also a rare opportunity to fight with a mythical beast. We must have confidence. Even if we fail, it's okay. It can also let us see how much gap there is between us and the legendary mythical beast. Zhang Xingyun cheered for the Pokémon. Seeing that everyone was almost ready, Zhang Xingyun took all the elves with him, and then went to the school cafeteria, ordered a private room, and waited. After a while, Nangang Yeo pushed the door open and walked in. You came just in time. This has just been served. Then I came just in time. Nangang Yeo laughed, and sat down next to him. The evolution of Haunter went smoothly. Yes, it went smoothly. Now it is Jenga. The fat Jenga appeared behind Nangang Yeo and greeted her. Jengi, good morning. Nangang Yeo raised her hand and touched Jenga's cold head and said with a smile. Jenga's 2 fat and short hands floated to the opposite side with a plate of food. It remembered that she liked to eat this. Thank you. Hahaha, Jenga still remembers you. Yes, by the way, good luck in today's battle. Okay. The two chatted while eating breakfast, and the scene was somewhat warm. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the battle hall of Magic City University was full of people talking about it. Many people heard that a mythical beast appeared in yesterday's battle, so today, there were so many people in the battle hall. They all came to watch the grace of the mythical beast. It is not often that you can see the mythical beast in person. The one from the National Defense University is so amazing. He can actually subdue the mythical beast Regis Chilu. He is really a role model for our generation. Who said it wasn't? If nothing unexpected happens, that person will definitely be one of the great figures in China in the future. Many people in the crowd were talking about it. Yes, yesterday, that guy defeated the 4 top students of Magic City University in a row, almost crushing them. I heard that the freshman champion of Magic City University is back, and he will fight with him today. His name is Zhang Xingyun, right? Actually, there is no need to compete. I admit that he is powerful, but the opponent is a trainer with a legendary beast, so he is bound to lose. I think so too. It's so obvious, don't even think about it. I think there is still hope. After all, he has never lost. Come on, what's the matter? Zhang Xingyun walked by with a calm face. Along the way, the onlookers were not optimistic about him, but this was normal. How do you feel? Nangang Yeo said beside him. It's okay, it's nothing. Zhang Xingyun chuckled, and the two walked to the rostrum one after the other. At this moment, the rostrum was full of leaders, and even the principal Gu Changfeng was present. Next to Gu Changfeng, there was a middle-aged man with a firm face and an upright posture, who was smiling and talking to him at the moment. At the banquet, Dean Lin saw Zhang Xingyun coming and stood up to greet him. Xingyun, don't be too stressed. This is also a rare opportunity to fight against a divine beast. Dean Lin said. I know. Well, it's good that you know. Let me introduce you. The person sitting next to the principal is Zhang Ting, the president of the National Defense University. The young man behind him is your opponent today, Yang Zuan. The three from the right first to the right third are teachers from the National Defense University. Dean Lin pointed to the people on the rostrum and introduced them. Zhang Xingyun nodded, indicating that he knew. Then, Zhang Xingyun was brought to the rostrum and stood in front of the leaders. Not bad, not bad. He is actually a mid-level heavenly king. Old boo, your school still has good seedlings. Zhang Ting looked at Zhang Xingyun and then said, but he is still a little worse than Yang Zuan from our school. Not necessarily. Hahaha, old boo, I like to see your stubborn look. On the rostrum, Zhang Xingyun shook hands with Yang Zuan and introduced themselves. Yang Zuan, Zhang Xingyun. Chapter 660, Divine Beast Riches Chilu. Who come on. When the two shook hands, the atmosphere on the field was also driven up, and the crowd cheered, looking forward to the next battle. When shaking hands, the two also tested each other. Zhang Xingyun found that he had an extremely pure steel energy, no less than the General King level. Perhaps this was the effect of conquering Regis Chilu. Sorry, I must win this time. Yang Zuan's eyes were sharp, and his resolute face was full of seriousness. Hey, me too. Zhang Xingyun laughed, and the two looked at each other, their eyes full of fighting spirit. Hahaha, young people should be so energetic. Looking at the two people like this, Zhang Ting, who was sitting on the rostrum, laughed. Gu Changfeng beside him also nodded, thinking that they were like this when they were young. Okay, let's determine the battle mode next. Forget the traditional mode. How about a full member competition? Gu Changfeng looked at Zhang Ting and asked for his opinion. I have no objection, just let them decide. Zhang Ting said, and said to the two people, young men, you choose the battle mode by yourselves. Both nodded. Friend come from afar, you choose the battle mode. Zhang Xingyun said first. The guest follows the host's wishes, or you choose it, I'm fine with it. Yang Zuan said confidently, he didn't think he would lose, even if it was that kind of battle mode. One force defeated 10 skills, strength was the king. Then I have to choose the 6 vs 6 mode for all members, how about it? Zhang Xingyun asked for his opinion again. No problem. Okay, then this is the battle mode. The leaders on the stage had no objection, and the battle mode was decided. Okay, you two go down and prepare, and the battle will start in half an hour. Zhang Xingyun left the rostrum and went to a lounge to prepare. Nangang Yao, Lan Yuchen and others were in the room, and the counselor Li Yingren was also there. Why did Dean Lin ask you to go on stage? Lan Yuchen asked. Get to know each other and confirm the battle mode. Zhang Xingyun replied, sitting down at the side. What is the battle mode? All out battle. Zhang Xingyun replied. He chose this because it was a bit advantageous for him. Because Zhang Xingyun learned from his information that the strongest of his Pokémon is the late-stage Celestial King, the legendary beast Regis Chilu, followed by the mid-stage Celestial King, Lucario, the early-stage Celestial King, Aegis Blade, Boscadora, and Swampert. These 5 Pokémon are at the first level of Celestial King. In the exchange battles over the past few days, except for Lucario, all other Pokémon have appeared, and there should be no mistakes or omissions. Zhang Xingyun guessed that his Lucario might have broken through to the late-stage Celestial King. This information may not be 100% accurate, and time is changing. On the other side, the people in the lounge, where Yang Zuan was, were also analyzing Zhang Xingyun's information. Yang Zuan, you have to pay more attention to Zhang Xingyun. Estimate him according to the principle of estimating the enemy's strength. The information in the data will also change over time. Maybe he has made a breakthrough during this period of time, or there are other factors. I know, teacher. I'm also confident in your temper, a middle-aged man said with satisfaction. Old Zu, don't worry. Brother Zuan is so strong, and there is also the divine beast Regishalu. He will definitely win. Yes, how can we lose this time? Several students in the room shouted. What do I teach you usually? A lion will use all its strength to fight a rabbit. Looking back on the past, aren't there many examples of the weak defeating the strong? Teacher Zhu criticized with a serious face. Yes, teacher is right. After hearing what Teacher Zhu said, the students straightened their postures and looked like they were being taught. Yeah, but I'm more confident in you, Zhang Xingyun. Yeah. It's out. The mythical beast is about to appear. A fierce battle between dragons and tigers is about to take place. Buy it and leave it alone. If you miss this opportunity, you will never get it again. Now bet on Zhang Xingyun to win, 1 to 5. Bet on Zhang Xingyun to win, 1 to 1.5. On both sides of the field, Zhang Xingyun and Zhang Xingyun took their positions and looked at each other. Okay, please send out your elves to fight. A teacher from the battle department of Magic City came on the field, acting as a referee, and announced loudly, "Guys, get ready." He took out 6 elf balls and threw them out at the same time. Nido Hassan Raw Heibu Banji Wood Crystal Steelix and other 6 elves appeared on the field together, looking fierce. The 6 of them appeared on the field, which was also decided by Zhang Xingyun, after considering several times. On the opposite side, Zhang Xingyun's elves also appeared on the field. As Zhang Xingyun expected, his Lucario had already broken through to the late stage of the king. Swampert had also broken through to the middle stage, and his 6th Pokémon was a Qua-seeking late stage armored bird. But among the 6 Pokémon, the Regishiru stood there, like a mountain in front of him, with an imposing manner. Nidoking and the others felt its strong sense of oppression on the field. Whoa, who is this Regishiru? So handsome, even more handsome than in the photo. It's amazing, you actually subdued the mythical beast. Buy it and let it go, hurry up. Swish, the entire field was instantly shrouded in a sandstorm, covering the sky, but the area near Regishiru was shrouded in an inexplicable energy, and the overwhelming sandstorm could not penetrate at all. Raw boom, the crystal Steelix jumped out of the ground, its tail glowing with steel, and slapped them straight away. Lucario passed by quickly in the first time, and met the crystal Steelix. Hassan Puff, the giant claw mantis, jumped out of the gravel and stopped Lucario. A flash of sword light passed by, and slashed at the giant claw mantis. It was the holy sword move of the shield blade monster. Heibu, the electric shock monster, teleported, full of thunder, and touched it. Boom, with a loud bang, the surrounding sandstorms were all exploded, and then they were supplemented by boiling sandstorms. Bang bang, Gillis was increasing his control to assist his partner. Kuro, Zhang Xingyun's other elves also took action, and took steps to meet them. Thunder, a dull roar sounded, accompanied by a wave of violent energy fluctuations. The sandstorm that originally surrounded them was broken in an instant. In the gravel, Nidoking and the others were exposed. This move was naturally the masterpiece of Regishiru. Heibu, a layer of black clouds appeared in the sky, and the electric shock monster was pulled by a force, and soared into the sky. There was also a ball of blazing flames in the sky, falling straight down. The target was the armored bird in the sky. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 661, All Out Fight. Regishiru pushed his hands up, and a dazzling beam of light shot out towards the sky, targeting the electric shock monster and the fire-breathing dragon in the sky. Nido, at the critical moment, Nidoking state reached the highest level, and the bond state and the spirit attachment technique were attached together. He teleported to the front of the light, and a green guard appeared in front of him and blocked it. Boom, an explosion sounded, and a large amount of thick smoke enveloped the space, and the black smoke was accompanied by the screams of the armored bird. Then a figure fell straight down. Lucario and others just reacted, but they were resisted by the crystal big steel snake, and were entangled for a while. Regishiru in the back set his sights on the crystal big steel snake. The crystal big steel snake suddenly felt a pressure from the soul covering it, as if it had encountered a natural enemy. Crystal Steelix, go ahead. You're not much worse off. You still have your friends. I'll leave it to them. Then a spirit possession spell descended on it, and Crystal Steelix felt its strength greatly increased, and the original suppression was also reduced a lot. Raw Crystal Steelix flipped its body, and faced the two elves in front of it with ease. Regishiru slightly raised his hands, and when it was about to attack, Nidoking appeared. Nido-Riz the two elves fought head-on. Regishiru stood still, and Nidoking retreated 7 or 8 steps. Swish, a sword light flew past, and slashed towards Nidoking. A red figure appeared and blocked it. Then a destructive death light returned. Lucario, who had broken free from the entanglement of Crystal Steelix, blocked it. Wow, in the sky, Charizard was covered in flames, and fell straight down. Boom, on the field, a black cloud flashed with lightning, and with a few rumbles, it fell down with great power. The Pokémons on the ground, such as Bangilus, also launched their attacks, and blasted over together. For a moment, there were continuous explosions, the field was shaking, and the protection mechanism of the battlefield was triggered. Whoosh, at that moment, Zhang Xingyun also used his supernatural power to teleport Nidoking and others out of the area covered by the move. Hiss, in the billowing smoke and dust, a burst of red light lit up, and Regishiru slowly walked out of the smoke. Lucario and other Pokémon followed behind it. Judging from their appearance, they were not injured under the power of this terrifying move. The ability user is really difficult to deal with, Yang Xuan said lightly. Sure enough, looking at Regishiru, who was slowly walking out, the Pokémons felt that it was like a moving mountain in front of them, pressing down on them, as if it was invincible. Nidoking roared. He didn't believe it. Even if it was a mythical beast, it was not invincible, and the same was true for the other Pokémon. Of the Pokémon on the field now, Armored Bird was being targeted, and only 11 Pokémon were left. But Regishiru also got into shape, and went all out. Nidoking, Crystal Steelix, you two are mainly responsible for it. Charizard, you are responsible for Boscadora. Come on, victory belongs to us, and mythical beasts are not invincible. Zhang Xingyun quickly adjusted his state, formulated a battle strategy, and encouraged the Pokémon. Nido, the battle started again, and the battle on the field became complicated and chaotic. The opponent would not let him do whatever he wanted, and would also adapt and change tactics. But on the field, Nidoking and Crystal Steelix held Regishiru tightly, and the other Pokémon started a melee, and the battle situation became stalemate. Not bad, not bad. This student is still okay, but it's a pity that this state will not last long. On the podium, Zhang Ting looked at the situation on the field and commented. Gu Changfeng looked at the field without saying a word. With his eyes, he could naturally see that the situation was as he said. Haha, it seems that we won again this time. Old boo, don't be too sad. If there is another chance next time, I won't compete with you. The outcome is not yet determined. It's too early to say that. Haha, then why not wait a little longer? I admit that this student of your school is very good, but you see that Crystal Steelix and Nidoking can't even break Regishiru's attack. It's only a matter of time before they lose. Nidoking was blown away again, and a beam of light shot over and hit it, blowing it away again, and falling to the side. Then, a barrier appeared around Regishiru's body, blocking Crystal Steelix's self-sacrificing heavy armor, and then a punch hit Crystal Steelix's chin. The huge body of Crystal Steelix was blown away directly. Thunder. As soon as Regishiru made a move, the ground was squirming, accompanied by waves of energy waves. He stopped attacking Crystal Steelix, and stomped the ground with his sturdy feet. Boom, a long crack appeared on the ground in an instant. Crystal Steelix took this opportunity to adjust its body, and a powerful Iron Tail fell down. The Iron Tail was caught by it, and shook it away. Nidoking teleported in front of it, and attacked with one blow and 2 kicks. Boom boom boom. Regishiru took a few steps back and casually attacked Nidoking with a cannon beam, knocking it away for a long time, appearing to be calm. After Nidoking stopped, he rushed forward again, cooperating with Crystal Steelix to launch another round of fierce attacks. But they were all beaten back by Regishiru. Nidoking had no time to care about the many wounds on his body, because it was his turn to attack. Nidoking and Crystal Steelix were ready to fight, but it was very difficult to resist. The battle with it was not only about the moves and other factors, but also the pressure of the beast, which formed a mental suppression on it. Every time in close combat, it would be suppressed by the energy of the heaven and earth around its body, especially the steel energy was particularly strong. Wow, on the other side, Charizard, with the help of Banglass, rushed with a flash of fire in the rolling sand and dust and hit the slightly weaker shield blade. Boom, a thunderbolt fell down and hit the shield blade. After the thunder, the shield blade had lost consciousness. Camo the Mega Swampert on the side hit the electric beast with an arm punch and then hit it with a freezing fist, knocking the electric beast away. Hey boo, the electric monster fell to the ground hard and it was a little bit unable to recover. Woo, Charizard turned around and came to support. Boom boom boom, the field was in a mess again. Chapter 662, The Collapse of the Battle. Hey boo, Zapman slowly climbed up from the ground, but what caught his eye was Lucario's fist. Hey boo, Zapman was knocked away again, and then several waves of missiles attacked together, hitting it head on. Boom boom boom, Zapman lay in the deep pit, already unconscious. A red light flashed, and Zapman was taken back. Taking this opportunity, Mantis and other Pokémon also focused their fire to kill Swampert. Now there are still 8 Pokémon on the field. Mantis and his team accounted for 5, and the opponent accounted for 3, expanding a little advantage. Then Banglass cooperated with Charizard X to deal with Boscadora, while Mantis was fiercely fought by Lucario. On the other side, Nidoking and Crystal Steelix joined forces to stubbornly block Registrilu. A blazing flame flashed, and Charizard, wrapped in red and blue flames, rushed straight to Boscadora. Heavy sandstorms were flying around Boscadora, limiting its range of movement. Luca, seeing this, Lucario wanted to go to reinforce, but was blocked by the giant mantis in front of him. Kuwabanji, the surroundings of the 3 Pokémons of Bangerous were surrounded by layers of wild sand. On the gravel, there was a red and orange color, and smoke was floating. It was obvious that the temperature of the gravel was extremely high. This was also the work of Charizard. In this way, Boscadora, an opponent with strong defense, was eliminated. Boscadora made a cry for help. It felt that the surroundings were getting hotter and hotter, but it could not break the cooperation between Bangerous and Charizard. Luca and Keng, the 2 agile Pokémons, faced each other and had no time to care about anything else. This time, after we deal with Boscadora, Banglass and the others will be free. Once we defeat Lucario, we can surround Registria. Zhang Xingyun thought as he watched the fierce battle on the field. Nidoking, Crystal Steelix, you have to hold on. Support will arrive soon. Come on. Victory will definitely be ours. Nidoking just got up from the ground, took a few glances at the battlefield over there, and then continued to rush towards Registria. It had to hold on. Boom boom boom, compared to the advantage of the giant claw mantis, the Crystal Steelix and Nidoking had the opposite effect. What a pity. Xingyun's bond with Crystal Steelix is not strong enough, so it can't super evolve. If it could, it wouldn't be so passive. In the audience, Lang Yuchen and others were watching the fierce battle on the battlefield. It's hard to say. Who knows if one of their students has subdued Registrilu. If it's an ordinary Pokémon, I'm afraid it can't withstand the attacks of Nidoking and Crystal Steelix. Pachengine said beside him. I'm afraid it's hard. Xingyun's chances of winning are getting lower and lower. Look, Crystal Steelix is about to collapse. As he spoke, Crystal Steelix made a rumble and its entire body was embedded in the ground. Then a dazzling light passed by and hit it. Nido when it wanted to attack again. Nidoking arrived and interrupted its next attack. Boom, Nidoking's attack did not react to it, only a muffled groan sounded. Nidoking cried out in pain, took the opportunity to grab Registrilu's arm, pressed over with his more than 3 meter tall body. His fists were on fire, and his mouth was holding starlight. Boom, a huge mushroom cloud rose into the sky, and a large piece of black smoke covered the area. Kubang Boscdorax fell down unwillingly. Under the siege of Charizard and Banguilus, it was defeated. Boom, Nidoking flew backwards and knocked down several piles of stones on the field. Nidoking let out a weak cry and stood up tremblingly. Registrilu jumped up, his whole body shining with steel luster, turning into a falling meteor and rushing towards Nidoking on the ground. It wanted to solve this difficult opponent as soon as possible. Bangui, seeing this scene, Banguilus carried the raging sand in the sky and turned into a huge sandstorm tornado to protect Nidoking. Dozens of sand shields condensed out and blocked Nidoking. Boom boom boom. Regishiro moved forward without hesitation. With a boom, he hit the ground, and Nidoking was no longer in his original position. Shuashishira sky high sand palm appeared, grabbed it, threw it to the ground, and then covered it with a palm. Raw Nidobanji swoosh. 3 destructive death lights shot out, and a huge airwave swept out of the field. The earth and rocks collapsed, and the ground cracked. Up to now, the largest battlefield in this magic city has become bumpy, and the entire venue has been sunk more than 10 meters deep. Regishiro slowly walked out of the smoke. It seems that the attacks of the 3 did not cause much damage to it. At most, it only injured it a little. And even more terrifying, and vast aura surged from Regishiro. Breakthrough. A feeling of powerlessness instantly hit Zhang Xingyun's heart. He could never have thought that Regishiro would actually break through at this time. Haha, thank you, classmate. If I hadn't fought with you today, my Regishiro wouldn't have felt the pressure, and would have broken through to the peak of the King of Heaven. Yang Xuan laughed loudly, his face full of joy. His heart, which had been a little shaken, instantly stabilized. Even if he was fighting 1 against 5, he felt that he had won. You are the strongest person of the same age that I have met. If I hadn't conquered it, I admit that I would not be your opponent. Yang Xuan said loudly, looking at him seriously. Hassan Wuwa. With the 2 of them working together, the giant claw mantis finally defeated Lucario at the cost of being seriously injured, and Charizard slightly injured, freeing up his hands. If I met you in your prime, maybe I could defeat Regishiro, but unfortunately you are not good enough now. In return, I will do my best to defeat you. Regishiro, Ironhead. Regishiro attacked again with the force of thunder. Zhang Xingyun could only cheer up and fight back. Even if he lost, he had to fight to the end. Boom boom boom. The battle started again. During the battle, Nidoking's entire body fell backwards, smashing one pile of rocks after another, and finally crashed into a thick pile of rocks. Nidoking made a weak cry, and a light shone on his body, exiting the bonded state. Bangji. After Nidoking, Bangjilus's cry of pain sounded again, followed by Crystal Steelix. Is it going to lose? Zhang Xingyun thought in his heart, but on his belt, the Pokeball containing Zygarde flickered with a faint light. Then a vast and majestic energy appeared on him. Chapter 663, The Power of Zygarde. Quickly, use the spell to attach this power to your Nidoking. After repelling it, let's leave quickly, and don't stay for long. Zygarde's weak and urgent voice came through telepathy. It was just awakened, and its consciousness was a little confused. It felt the breath of Regishiro and thought it was a strong enemy attacking. You misunderstood. We are not attacked. This is a game. We are sparring with each other. We are still safe at the moment. Zhang Xingyun explained hurriedly. It's good that it's not a strong enemy attacking. You should pay attention to safety and send more energy to me. You can do it yourself. Then, Zygarde fell into a deep sleep. Is this Zygarde's energy? Zhang Xingyun opened his hands, and a terrifying breath spread out. The people and elves on the field could feel it. Some weak elves fell to the ground and whimpered after feeling it. The stronger elves became a little agitated and felt a heavy pressure like a mountain. Regishiro on the field couldn't help but look over. It felt a terrifying pressure. Even though it was a divine beast, it couldn't help but feel a sense of oppression. It couldn't help but put down its unconscious giant mantis and stared at Zhang Xingyun with a few red eyes. Zhang Xingyun pinched his hand seals, and all the energy in his body was mobilized, merging with the energy given by Zygarde. For some reason, the wind blew around Zhang Xingyun's body. What's going on? His scene also attracted the attention of Yang Xuan on the opposite side. Not only him, but also the bigwigs on the rostrum were surprised. How could this mysterious and powerful pressure appear on this student? What kind of secret technique is this? Zhang Ting exclaimed. What's the matter with this student Leogu? Several of my old friends feel a lot of pressure. I don't know about this. It may be his opportunity. Seeing that he became like that after performing it, it must have cost a lot. Your school is very lucky to have such a student. Zhang Ting said dryly. Wow, is this a comeback or something? It's terrible. Looking at this situation, I'm going to lose everything. People in the audience started to shout. Not really, he just exploded. Can we personally go on the stage and compete with him? Maybe he's just a show off. Someone raised doubts. But this doesn't seem to be a show off. My elf reminded me to leave quickly, and it seemed very timid. If this wasn't the Magic City, I would have run away long ago. The audience below the stage talked a lot, but their vision was not as good as the big guys on the stage. They only knew the results, but not the reasons. They just felt that he suddenly exploded, and he looked awesome. Woohoo, come on Xingyun, beat him. Lan Yuchen shouted, and there were classmates who came to watch the game, shouting together. What kind of secret technique is this? It's so powerful. Zhang Xingyun asked. Sorry, it's inconvenient to disclose. I have no comment. Sorry, I'm being presumptuous. It's okay. Then let me see how powerful you are next. As you can see, Nidoking. As soon as the voice fell, a bright light shone on Nidoking. Then the bound Nidoking reappeared on the field, and his aura also strengthened. The peak of the middle stage, the late stage, and the peak of the late stage. Nidoking roared, and a domineering and terrifying aura emanated. On Nidoking, Registeru actually felt a sense of oppression. Quick, Nidoking, a quick battle and a quick decision. Zhang Xingyun said palely, performing this zygote version of spirit attachment, which emptied all his strength. Now he was a little unstable. Charizard, go to the side and watch the battle. Don't get involved. Charizard dragged his seriously injured body and flew to the side. Nidoking only felt that he was now extremely powerful. The ground under his feet became particularly friendly, like his hands and feet. The energy of the surrounding heaven and earth was like a docile sheep, allowing him to do whatever he wanted. More importantly, when he faced Regisquirrel, he did not feel any sense of oppression. Boom boom boom, the ground rolled up like waves, dragging Nidoking forward. Regisquirrel immediately attacked. Boom, with a muffled groan, both of them fell to the ground. A destructive death ray shot over, and Nidoking raised his hand to shoot it. A series of earth walls appeared in front of him to protect him. Boom, the ground shook, and Regisquirrel's destructive death ray did not break Nidoking's defense. Boom, the ground under Regisquirrel suddenly cracked, and then turned into a huge mouth, biting it, and then the whole land soared into the sky. Boom, Regisquirrel had just broken free from the restraints, and a dark shadow that covered the sky and the sun enveloped it. The black shadow in front of him was a rock rising from the ground. Regisquirrel, smash it with your Kai fist. Regisquirel's fists glowed as he rushed forward, punching out with both fists, hitting the huge mountain. Cracks appeared on the mountain, then broke apart. Nidoking jumped out of it, and then both of them landed on the ground. The two of them started a close-range battle on the ground, using 2 consecutive kicks, super horn strikes, random strikes, rock blockades and other moves one after another. Boom boom boom, Nido's energy body in the shape of a dragon head lingered on Nidoking's right fist, hitting Regisquirel hard, and knocking it out. After stopping, Regisquirel was surprised to find that there was a dent in his iron body. How is it possible? Your Nidoking is so powerful. Zhang Xingyun exclaimed, his face full of disbelief, and there was still a question in his heart. Nidoking is a dragon attribute Pokémon? Why is there the breath of a dragon type Pokémon on it? No, nothing is impossible. Zhang Xingyun said intermittently. His condition was not very good now. Nidoking's explosion was also caused by his weakness. You will be in danger in the wild. Hey, I know my limits. Boom, Regisquirel was blown away again. In terms of close combat, Nidoking has the upper hand again. Swish, unable to win in close combat, he began to bombard from a distance, adding aura suppression. It's just that the latter is useless. Boom boom boom, on the field, smoke and dust flew, and the airwaves were like tides. The original battlefield has become unrecognizable. After a few attempts, Nidoking found that he was still slightly inferior in this regard, and the energy in his body was slowly disappearing. It had to end the battle quickly. Chapter 664 Results. Nido's on the field. The figures of Nidoking and Regiloxi crossed, and dazzling sparks flashed during the close combat. Nidoking could no longer care about other things, and let go of his defense, and attacked with all his strength. Now he had only one thought in his mind, to defeat Regiloxi in front of him. Boom, a huge wave of air swept out in all directions, raising dust all over the sky. A big flame appeared in front of Nidoking, with a pressing heat wave, and then pushed towards him. The big word explosion was blocked by it not far in front of it, but it was very hot, making it feel very uncomfortable. Boom, the big word explosion shattered and turned into sparks, but Nidoking also came, and the spikes on his arms gathered into two dazzling purple blades, slashing across, leaving many scars on his steel body. Nidoking was also hit by an iron fist, flew out, and fell heavily to the ground. Buzz buzz buzz, the ground started to roll again, and Rigishi was surrounded and killed with a force. Nido under the drag of the earth. It jumped into the air, and the gravel on the ground turned into a huge stone blade of 100 meters under its condensation, and slashed down at the concave ground. Rigishi had just broken free from the restraints, and the oncoming attack came again. Bang, the stone blade broke into pieces, and turned into pieces of gravel, falling to the ground. Nido Riz, after fighting until now, both of them were very tired, and their conditions had reached their limits, but Rigishi's condition was a little better. Woo, just at this moment, the fire-breathing dragon on the side soared into the sky and flew towards it quickly, its body tumbling, spewing scorching flames, and then turned into a huge vortex of flames. It and itself fell down. Woo, using the last of its strength, a flash of flame rushed towards the ground. Nidoking understood immediately and followed suit, gathering all his strength and readying a beam of destructive death. The life orb on his body glowed, increasing the power of his moves. Nidoking focused his mind and increased his energy intake. Perhaps this was his only chance. Crack, the higher load energy output caused several cracks on the orb. Boom, then, as if it could not bear the heavy load, the orb shattered, and the last energy on it was all released and merged into Nidoking's body. Nidoking also knew this, but he had no time to care about it. He blasted out with a beam of destructive death containing his last attack. Boom boom boom, a huge wave of arrows on the field, spreading the gravel and dust everywhere, like a natural disaster level storm, with howling winds and waves of air. The power of this attack could be compared to the attack of the champion elf. Bang, 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 the protective shield on the field was broken, and even a few places were broken. Fortunately, several powerful elves appeared out of thin air and controlled the situation. What's going on? How is the situation? I don't know. I can't see clearly. Wow, young people nowadays are so powerful, they can make such a commotion. The field was noisy, waiting for the smoke and dust to dissipate, so that they could know what the final result would be. Nangang and others were also nervously watching the billowing smoke and dust on the field. The field was filled with frenzied energy, interfering with their divine senses. The smoke and dust on the field gradually dissipated, revealing the figure of Charizard in the corner of the edge. Woo, it moved, supported itself with both hands, and looked up at the smoke and dust. Don't do this next time without my order. Zhang Xingyun sat on the ground and said telepathically. Woo, did you hear that? If I hadn't reacted quickly just now, you would have been seriously injured or lightly injured. Zhang Xingyun blamed. Slowly, Nidoking's body was exposed. He had already exited the bonded state and fell into a coma. He leaned his back on the pile of stones and faced one side. Did you still lose? Ragi 7 red lights lit up, and a burly figure slowly stood up. Did you still lose? It's like this. In the audience, Lang Yuchen said with regret. Now Nidoking has lost consciousness, not to mention the remaining Charizard. Yeah, it's a pity, it's come to this. Zimeng also said. Nangang Yeo turned her eyes to Zhang Xingyun, who was sitting on the ground. He seemed to sense her peeping, turned his head and smiled. I'm glad you're okay. Nangang Yeo smiled and said softly. What a terrible opponent. It seems that we can't underestimate the heroes of the world. We can't slack off after returning. We have to work harder. Yang Zuan looked at the broken battlefield and said lightly. This time he was also very impressed. Thunder, suddenly, Rigishiru fell forward, and his burly body fell to the ground with a thud. This sudden change also stunned him. 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 minute passed, and it still fell to the ground. A teacher who served as a referee went forward to check. Rigishiru has lost his ability to fight. On the field, Charizard still has some strength left, so the winner is Zhang Xingyun. The referee announced loudly. Pa pa pa. As soon as he finished speaking, applause rang out, filling the entire field. It's outrageous. The invincible beast actually lost. It's outrageous. It's outrageous. Wow. My money, my wife. A real man never has to worry about not having a wife. Didn't you lose too? I bet on both sides, and I made a small profit. Ah, you are so stupid. This is a two-pronged approach. Wow, I witnessed a miracle. I didn't expect that the legendary beast was defeated by an ordinary elf like Nidoking. I want to cultivate a Nidoking later. Someone in the audience said. Wow, although I lost the bet, I don't feel sad at all, because I witnessed a miracle. Brother, how much did you lose? So casually. It's not more than a meal, just 2 million. Fuck. Another person said. Awesome. Modo is awesome. Zhang Xingyun is awesome. Nidoking is awesome. Lan Yuchen and several other boys stood up and shouted excitedly. Not only them, but many boys on the field were like this. On the rostrum, Gu Changfeng was also smiling and talking to Zhang Ting next to him, but Zhang Ting's face was not looking good. Hahaha, old Zhang, I'm sorry, we are still the winner. Let's discuss what to do next, Gu Changfeng said with a smile. Humph. Zhang Ting snorted, and then said in a low voice, Old Gu, we have been friends for so many years, let's discuss it again. Chapter 665, Post-War Recuperation. Hey, how rare, you're talking about friendship, but it's useless. We agreed on it, so let's do it. Gu Changfeng replied in a sonorous voice. It can be discussed, right? Let's do this. We can pay 30% of our school's resources, let it settle in our school for 10 years, and then we can compete again after 10 years. Haha, no. Old Boo, we've been friends for many years. No, this is not negotiable, but you are allowed to send a team of researchers to collaborate on the research, but the university where the publication is made must be our Shanghai University. Are you okay? Do you still have the strength to stand up? Yang Zuan walked in front of Zhang Xingyun and stretched out a hand. Not bad. Zhang Xingyun stretched out his hand, shook his hand, and stood up with his help. To be honest, I didn't expect this ending. Can you tell me how you felt during the battle? Yang Zuan said with emotion. I believe Nidoking and the others. Of course there are other factors, which are not convenient to disclose. Hahaha, I understand. Let me introduce myself again. Yang Zuan, you are welcome to come to the National Defense University to find me, so that we can learn from each other more in the future. Okay, you are also welcome to come to the Magic City University to make progress together. Kachika the flashlights kept flashing on the field, taking pictures of this scene. Maybe tomorrow's news headlines will have today's news. Hahaha, awesome Xingyun. Lan Yuchen and others also ran over, saying loudly, and supporting him. Afterwards, Zhang Xingyun was arranged to recuperate in the school's infirmary. Nidoking and the others were also properly arranged. They were supposed to go to the hospital, but he refused. He didn't have to worry about the next thing. His next thing was to take care of his body. Zhang Xingyun didn't expect that this outbreak would overdraw quite seriously, and he would have to rest for several days before he could fully recover. The power of the mythical beast is not so easy to use, and it is still the power of Zygarde. But the gains were also great. Nidoking and the others also fought with the mythical beasts and gained valuable combat experience. Wow, how did you do it? You can even defeat the mythical beasts. Lan Yuchen said loudly in the room. Just train more, cooperate in the battle, and don't slack off. You have to keep up, and then believe in them. That's about it. Zhang Xingyun, who was resting on the bed, said lightly. Really? Can you rely on these? You still have to add a little luck. Luck. This time we can win. There is also a luck factor. Zhang Xingyun said. There is nothing wrong with this. The main reason for defeating Regishiru this time was the assistance of Zygarde. Otherwise, Nidoking and the others would never have been able to defeat Regishiru, who broke through on the spot, but he won after all. Hahaha, everyone is here. Hello, principal. Hello, teachers. Good. Principal Gu Changfeng walked into the room with several school leaders and looked at him. During this time, he naturally praised him and thanked him for his contribution to the school. He chatted in the room for a long time before leaving the ward. Lan Yuchen and the others stayed for a while and left the ward to let him rest more. Are you okay? How do you feel? Nangang Yeo, who stayed in the room, said with concern. It's okay, Joa, you don't have to worry. Don't fight so hard next time. Don't hurt your body. You have won a lot. This time is not a big deal. Yeah, I was a little too excited. I must pay attention next time. It was very sudden at that time, and Zhang Xingyun did not expect that Zygote would wake up and give him this power. In that situation, he had to fight. Unexpectedly, after being blessed on Nidoking became so powerful that he defeated Registchulu against the wind, although there was a factor of Charizard. Just pay attention. It's good that it's in the arena. If it was in the wild, your state would be dangerous. Seeing him like this, Nangang didn't say much and handed the peeled fruit over. I know. In the ward, the two were talking, but outside, the battle was boiling. This was big news. An ordinary Pokémon actually defeated the legendary beast. This was big news. Even if there were other factors, the beast had not yet fully developed, but it didn't matter, because Nidoking and his team won. For a time, the Nido family was sought after by many novice trainers, and their value increased several times. The Nido family in the wild also became very popular. Of course, as the MVP of this battle, Charizard was also greatly sought after. In the Magic City, almost every novice trainer had to choose Charmander as their trainer. Zhang Xingyun also became a celebrity with a very high reputation. The video of this battle was also quickly spread on the internet, allowing more people to know him. You are worthy of it. Gold will always shine wherever you go. In the National University, Yi Crossing said with a smile, after watching the video. At the same time, people from many other colleges and universities in Jiangsu, Zhejiang, and the imperial capital also knew about this. After watching it, Long Yun, Chen Yu, and Fang Hongjian were also quite moved. In Changning No. 9 Middle School, on this day, a special broadcast of Zhang Xingyun's battle was broadcast. Zhang Xingyun didn't know about the overwhelming news in the outside world. At this moment, he was sitting cross-legged on the bed, practicing carefully to make up for the deficit in his body. This time he also became like this for the school, so naturally he enjoyed the highest treatment. What kind of precious medicinal materials and treatment items he needed were all available. According to Gu Changfeng's words, he couldn't treat the meritorious officials unfairly. This is too powerful. Zhang Xingyun stopped and exhaled a breath of turbid air. He still felt very weak and couldn't use his strength. It has such power in the core state. How powerful should it be in its complete form? Zhang Xingyun couldn't help but think. While Zhang Xingyun was imagining, Nangang pushed the door open with a lunchbox. Charizard has recovered. I'm going to get them back. Nangang said, opening the food box and putting it away, emitting an intense aroma. Zhang Xingyun's stomach growled at the smell. He was hungry. Well, the temperature is just right. Open your mouth. Joa feeds you delicious food. After eating, Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. You, save your energy. It's happened several times. Don't do it next time. Joa is here. I'd be happy to do it again. Nangang rolled her eyes and continued to feed. Zhang Xingyun smiled and let her feed him. Joa, I heard you have a so-called fiancé, right? Zhang Xingyun asked casually. Chapter 666 Milota. Fiancé. Who told you that? Nangang packed up the lunchbox, wiped her hands, and sat down in front of him, her tone very calm. No, I just asked casually. Zhang Xingyun said. Brother said it. Nangang bright eyes revealed a look of understanding. Well, can you tell me about it? Zhang Xingyun nodded and replied. Actually, this is nothing. It's just a joke from my father. Anyway, I don't admit it. What era is it? And it's still this. Nangang looked very unhappy, and then slowly said. His name is Zizin. His father and my father are close friends. Once when he was a child, he came to my house to play, and my father made a joke, but the key is that he took it seriously. Since then, I have been annoyed to death. Zizin. Zhang Xingyun remembered the name, listened to her quietly, and also complained. From what he said, we know that the Z family is also a big family in Jinling. They are similar to the Nangang family in all aspects. They also have a beast master, and the beast they worship is Thunder God. Anyway, just ignore him. Nangang said at last, looking at him. Yeah. Zhang Xingyun chuckled and held her hand. After the competition, come back to Jinling with me. Okay. Zhang Xingyun smiled even more and agreed immediately. What are you talking about, Leo? We are here to see you. Lan Yuchen's voice came from outside the room. After getting a response, the three of them walked in together. How is Leo recovering? Lan Yuchen put down the things he brought, found a chair, and sat down casually, and asked. That's it. In just one afternoon, he can't recover much. I guess he will have to lie down for several days. Oh, no wonder. It seems that your price is not small. You guys chat. I'll go pack up. Nangang Yeo got up, packed up her things, and walked outside. Hey, Nangang just said he would take you home, didn't he? I didn't eavesdrop. I just happened to hear it when I got to the door. Lan Yuchen looked at the look in his eyes and said immediately. Yeah. With your strong record, there will be no problem. You can handle it. Congratulations. You have become a celebrity. Now the news outside is all about you. Kiam Xiaoming said with a smile, holding the phone, and handed it to him, and a big headline came into view. Shocked, the man who defeated the mythical beast turned out to be him. It also accompanied the posture of Zhang Xingyun standing on the stage, directing the elves. You know what? The angle of this shot is not bad. Zhang Xingyun chuckled. Yeah, I think so too. Kiam Xiaoming agreed. Now with your battle, the elves of the Nado family are very popular. Really? That's good too. Where is your phone? It must have been blown up. I wonder how many companies want to cooperate with you. Forget about this. I'm not short of money. There's no need to waste time on this. Zhang Xingyun shook his head. Indeed, strength is the most important. How much money do you need to have strength? Page Engine followed. That makes sense. After a while, several classmates of Zhang Wenchen also came to visit. All here. Wenchen, why are you here too? I came to visit. I was afraid that I would delay my rest during the day. It's nothing to delay. Come on, come on. Zhang Xingyun greeted them. Everyone sat in the room and chatted, and the scene seemed very lively. The next few days were spent like this. In a blink of an eye, 3 days had passed since the battle. On this day, Zhang Xingyun finally left the ward. Although he lived in the school's infirmary, in the same school, and the environment was not bad, Zhang Xingyun still felt a little uncomfortable. It was better to return to the dormitory. Zhang Xingyun strolled on the track. Now he has recovered basic mobility, but he can't do some strenuous exercises and movements. This Zygote brand power bank is not useful. With his current physique, he has to lie down for at least 3 days. Of course, Zhang Xingyun will not rely on it. Strength is better to train himself. This Zygote brand power bank should not be used unless it is a crisis, and this also depends on its meaning. As he walked along, pedestrians on the road all gave him a salute, silently made way for him with eyes full of admiration. After all, this was the man who defeated the mythical beast. The eyes around him made him feel a little uncomfortable, but he didn't say anything. TSK, is this the pump of a big boss? Xingyun, look at those people. There are a few good looking young ladies, as long as you. Before he finished speaking, Lan Yuchen suddenly felt a chill looking at him, and then changed his words, pointing to a boy next to him and said, as long as you have time, you can give some appropriate pointers to improve the overall strength of our Modu University, not only those young ladies, but also those male classmates. See that handsome guy in blue clothes? He must be a reliable person, by looking at his face. Puchy, I'm laughing to death, so good at nonsense. Meng laughed out loud. The others also laughed. Don't you know to be careful of what you say? I won't change my words either. Hey, look there. Lan Yuchen seemed to have discovered something, pointing in the distance and saying loudly, what is that? Everyone looked up and saw a black shadow flying slowly in the sky in the distance. What is that? La la la, the pleasant music came from the black shadow. After listening to it, everyone's originally impetuous hearts instantly relaxed. They stood there and listened quietly, with a comfortable smile on their faces. It looked very comfortable. After flying closer, the true face was revealed. It was a petite elf with light green hair color, and there were stripes like musical bars in the hair. The slender arms were connected to the oval palms, forming the shape of a quarter note. Its eyes without pupils looked like whole notes. There was a gem on its forehead, and a black headdress like a treble clef. There was a waist ring with the same color as its hair around its black waist. It's Melota. Zhang Xingyun murmured softly, watching Melota floating happily in the sky. There was no other noise except its singing. Most of the people and elves present were still intoxicated by its beautiful singing. After it walked away, everyone came back to their senses. That beautiful singing was actually sung by Melota. It was such a treat to listen to it. I heard that it often comes out to hang out, and sometimes sings pleasant songs. Today we are lucky to hear its singing, Lang Yuchen said with a happy face. A good piece of music can purify the soul and cultivate sentiment, not to mention that it was the music sung by Melota. Chapter 667 Selecting Treasures. It is also thanks to you that Melota landed in the Magic City University. If it weren't for you, maybe it would have settled in the National Defense, and we wouldn't have heard such beautiful music. Lang Yuchen said with a look of relief. Is it the new beast? Zhang Xingyun murmured as he looked at Melota going away. Be gentle, don't interfere with the instrument, be careful of data errors. Classmate, lend it to us, we are studying Melota's music, please. A group of people in white coats, both old and young, followed by several elves carrying instruments, flew in the direction of it, as if they were studying something. In fact, each beast has considerable research value, and most elf scientists have been studying it tirelessly because they believe that they can find many places that are beneficial to human development in the beast, and they can also increase the understanding of the beast and cooperate to cultivate powerful elves. Of course, the researchers running by must have obtained the consent of relevant personnel and Melota itself when conducting research, otherwise they would not be able to carry out the research. Very good. Everyone ordered a full table in the school cafeteria to celebrate Zhang Xingyun's recovery. After eating and drinking, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao came to the training room. His move naturally aroused the admiration of Lang Yuchen and others. Nidoking and others are already training here. Hey boo Nido, the elves called Zhang Xingyun, shouted happily, and came to him. When he was not convenient these days, he asked Nangang Yao to take care of Nidoking and others. Guys, we have defeated another very powerful opponent. This is something to be happy about. Zhang Xingyun said as he looked at the elves in front of him. Hey boo electric monster, you are so handsome. You have done a lot this time. Hey boo crystal steelix, you have worked hard this time. Raw Crystal Steelix shook his head, and a kind light flashed in his eyes. In this tragic game, it felt that it was no longer alone. It also had partners and trainers. They were helping each other, training together, and fighting against strong enemies together. This was something it had never experienced in the wild. Especially many times, when facing the fierce attack of Richest Chilu, whenever it was in crisis, Nidoking could teleport in front of it in time and block the damage for it, which touched it very much. We have to keep up the good work. There are still unexpected factors in this victory. Let's work together. Raw Nido Hassan Wu. After encouraging him, Zhang Xingyun walked aside, took out the Pokeball containing Regirock's life core, released it, and then picked up many treasures and put them on it, allowing it to absorb. It's at the peak of the ordinary level, worthy of being a divine beast. Zhang Xingyun couldn't help but say in surprise when he felt the breath coming from Regirock. Recently, its development has been more and more rapid, and its current breath has reached the peak of the ordinary level. That is to say, when it fully recovers, it will have the starting strength, indicating the peak of the ordinary level, which is incomparable to other ordinary elves. Thinking back to the time when Nidoking and Electric Beast broke through to this strength, it also took a lot of time to break through. It's at the peak of the ordinary level, and it's almost time for it to recover. Nangang Yao also came over and said as he looked at the almost formed life core on the ground. Yes, it's almost there. By the way, Joa, come with me to the school's logistics department later to see if you can pick out a few treasures that suit your taste. Zhang Xingyun said to Nangang Yao, remembering this. A few days ago, when Principal Gu Changfeng went to visit him, perhaps if he could increase the number of treasures he could choose from 3 to 5, he would like to express his great contribution to the Magic City this time. Okay, there should be a lot of treasures in the logistics department of Modu University. You should think about it more. Nangang Yeo replied. Yes, I know. It is a rare thing to go to the logistics department of the school to collect treasures, especially to pick them randomly. As a well-known university in China and even the world, Modi University definitely has a lot of treasures. Maybe you can get something there. Zhang Xingyun is still a little bit looking forward to it. In the afternoon, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo came to a magnificently decorated building. This building is the building where Modu University stores supplies, and it is also jokingly called the Treasure Pavilion by students on campus. After Zhang Xingyun walked in, he found that there were many people walking in and out here. This is also the place where the school exchanges supplies. Zhang Xingyun walked along the way, and everyone next to him cast a respectful look. Soon a good-looking service staff came to receive him. After understanding his purpose, he asked them to wait for a while, and then brought a middle-aged man. So it's Zhang Xingyun. You're here to pick treasures today, right? Gu Hui said enthusiastically, greeting the two. Well, I'm here to pick treasures today. Dean Lin must have reported to you. Yes, then follow me. I'm afraid these things outside won't attract your attention. Okay. Under Gu Hui's leadership, Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo followed, passing through a long corridor and walking down a long flight of stairs. Zhang Xingyun estimated that this place should be a long distance deep into the ground. Student Zhang is young and promising. When I was your age, I didn't know where to stand. As they left, they chatted by the way. We are here. Gu Hui opened a heavy special door, and the three of them walked in. What came into view were rows of rare treasures, some of which were shining with starlight, some of which were emitting a misty breath, and some ordinary objects were placed aside, and there were also many elf eggs. Landshark, Dratini, Railu. When Zhang Xingyun walked by, he took a casual look and saw all the precious elves that the outside world wanted. There were nameplates on the elf eggs, which described the elf eggs. Some of them had super high qualifications. However, Zhang Xingyun is no longer the same as when he first entered the martial arts world. Seeing such rare elves, he was not interested. Jaoa, you can take a look too. If you like it, take it. Okay, I won't be polite with you. Gu Hui introduced it to the side, but after walking around, Zhang Xingyun and the others didn't make any choices. These didn't meet his expectations. Senior brother Gu, the huge Magic City University should have more than this. Hahaha, of course not. Let's go to the next floor. During the chat, I learned that Gu Hui also graduated from Magic City University, so he was also a senior brother. Gu Hui took the two of them and walked around 3 floors in a row, but Zhang Xingyun never made any choices. When walking past an item, Zygode's voice sounded in his mind. That thing is of some use to me. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 668 ready. Zhang Xingyun looked in the direction of the sound and saw a basketball-sized red crystal-like object. I can have this, right? Zhang Xingyun said immediately. When he saw the red crystal, he pointed at it and said to Gu Hui, are you sure? I want this. Yes, I'm sure. Okay, this is yours. Be careful. Don't look at this small thing. It weighs several thousand pounds. Gu Hui reminded him. After some operations, he opened the account of this treasure. Zhang Xingyun used his supernatural power to pick up the blood red crystal. Then the crystal-like object exuded a strong smell of blood, and there was a faint sound of dragon roaring from it. You have a good eye. This blood crystal came from the Dragon Court Secret Realm. I heard it is related to the sky-breaking seat. Really? Then I'm really lucky. Hahaha, that's what you deserve. Then he continued to browse to see if he could come across another suitable one, and Zygod had been silent since then. In front of Zhang Xingyun, there was a system interface that only he could see, showing the information of these treasures. After that, after wandering around for a long time, Zhang Xingyun picked out 3 more treasures, 2 rock treasures, and 1 treasure containing divine thoughts, all of which were prepared for a Jalok, and the remaining one was left to Nangang Yeo to choose. In the end, she chose a superpowered bead. The two walked out of the building quite satisfied. Guhui watched them leave, made a phone call, and reported to his superiors. With these, Richelok may be revived in the next few days, Zhang Xingyun said happily. He didn't expect to find a treasure that would be beneficial to Richelok's revival here today. Congratulations, you are about to become a divine beast master. Nangang Yeo congratulated with a smile. Zhang Xingyun still felt a little excited when he thought that he could own a divine beast. Then the two came to a training room in the school, and after checking that everything was correct, they took out the treasures and began to mix them. After some operations, half of Richelok's life core was buried in a pile of pale yellow rock and soil. On the rock and soil, there was a white sheen, emitting a gentle breath, nourishing Richelok's body and mind. It will be revived in these few days, Nangang Yeo said, looking at the progress in front of her. Well, it will probably be in these few days. Zhang Xingyun nodded. The two looked carefully for a while and also practiced on the side. The rich energy in the rock and soil was injected into Richelok's life core. Every once in a while, its body surface would light up. Soon it was night. Zhang Xingyun stopped practicing, and Nangang Yeo beside him opened his eyes at the same time. I'll go buy food. You stay here. Okay. Nangang Yeo walked out, and Zhang Xingyun stayed where he was, looking at Richelok. He found that all parts of Richelok's body had been fully nurtured, and it was still emitting an elite level aura, which was still slowly rising. Zhang Xingyun nodded with satisfaction, and then looked away. In the training ground elsewhere, Forest Lizard, Jenga and the others were still training, while Nidoking and Crystal Steelix were also standing by, doing some simple training. Chamo bang bang bang. The forest lizard faced a training model, waving his arms vigorously, slashing out multiple green rays, and slashing them all on it. Chamo the forest lizard looked at the model with only a faint white mark, and looked a little dissatisfied. Now the forest lizard has also broken through from the peak of the late ordinary to the early elite, and its strength has increased several times. Hassan, there was also a giant claw mantis standing next to the forest lizard, instructing it. Chamo Hassan in the team. The giant claw mantis is also a Pokémon with a fast speed, so the forest lizard often asks it for advice. The battle-hardened giant claw mantis can often give it a few pointers, which has benefited it a lot. Bang bang bang. The forest lizard continued to train, and the sound of bang 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 rang out. His Jenga was wearing sunglasses, floating on the side, watching the forest lizard training, looking very leisurely. Jengi, how is your training going? How is your training going? Zhang Xingyun slowly walked over and asked Jenga. His Jenga waved his hands repeatedly, explaining. Well, that's good. You should also learn something from the forest lizard. We will go to the competition in a month, and then we will meet many powerful Pokémon and trainers. Zhang Xingyun looked away. Metagross and the others were also training there. Before the competition, Madame Huaji and the others should be able to break through to the king. Looking at the Pokémon who were working hard to train, Zhang Xingyun said. The Pokémon in the team that are expected to break through to the king before the competition are Blastoise and the others. At present, Blastoise and Dragonite in the team have been at the peak of the late Quasi-King for a while, and they are only one step away from the king. Madame Huaji recently broke through to the peak of the late Quasi-King, and is not far from the king realm. There is also Metagross, which is currently at the peak of the midterm Quasi-King realm. If it improves rapidly, there is still a certain hope that it will break through to the king realm before the game. Did you get the stuff? Zygote's voice sounded in his mind. Yes, I got it. Bang, a flash of red light passed by, and Zygote came out of the Pokeball, looking at him with one eye, looking more energetic. Maybe it has recovered a little. Zhang Xingyun felt a faint sense of oppression, which was not there when he first met it. Here, Zhang Xingyun took out the red crystal from the space and floated in front of it. Yes. A burst of green light flashed on Zygote's body, and then the red crystal in front of it turned into liquid, and 3 green dragon-shaped energies rose up from it. Under its control, it was all absorbed into its body. After absorbing the energy, Zygote looked at Zhang Xingyun and said, "Do you have energy cubes?" "Yes," Zhang Xingyun said, taking out a pile of energy cubes from the space and placing them in front of it. "Who? The energy cubes in front of it all started to move and were sucked into its stomach like a whirlwind, including the boxes containing the energy cubes. However, with its digestive energy, these probably had no effect on it. There was space in its small body, and after swallowing, its body did not change at all and remained the same as before. Thank you. After swallowing everything, Zygote thanked him. No, come to think of it, I should thank you. Thank you for your help a few days ago, which allowed me to defeat the strong enemy. Chapter 669 Resurgence. Strong enemy, that richest Chilu. Yeah. Actually, I was still a little confused at that time, and I thought it was those people chasing us. That person also cultivates richest Chilu, but he is much more powerful than the one you met, Zygote said, and his voice was not as weak as before. Which people? Zhang Xingyun was a little confused, but before he could say it, Zygote took action. It looked quietly in one direction, and said to that person, "Come out, I know you are there." Who? A breeze blew, and a large group of blue water vapor appeared out of thin air, and then Sukyun's figure slowly appeared in the training room. Sukyun. Zhang Xingyun looked over and exclaimed. If it weren't for Zygote, he wouldn't know that Sukyun would appear here. "Hello, trainer, see you again," Sukyun said kindly. "Hello," Zhang Xingyun replied. Now facing Sukyun, he was not as nervous as before. "Do you need help?" Sukyun looked at Zygote and said slowly. "I've been drained of a lot of my essence, and you can't help me," Zygote replied. "Is it him?" "Yes." After that, the scene fell into silence. Zhang Xingyun stood by, not knowing what the two beasts in front of him were talking about. Sukyun nodded, said nothing, and his figure turned into water vapor and slowly disappeared from the spot. "Trainer, I need to stay with you for a while, to recover from my injuries." Zygote looked at him and said. Okay. Zhang Xingyun replied immediately. "This is my gift. I will fall into a deep sleep for a while. By the way, be careful of Team Rocket." Zygote nodded, and then his figure floated up, emitting two balls of light. One sank into Regirock in the distance, and the other sank into Nidoking, and then entered the Pokeball. "Nido over there," Nidoking roared after receiving this ball of energy from Zygote, and then his aura rose slightly, and instantly broke through from the middle stage of the king to the peak of the middle stage. Nidoking's body crackled, some of its skin fell off, and its body grew taller. A unique pressure emanated from it. Nidoking felt refreshed, with infinite power in his body. Standing on the ground, he could clearly sense the energy between heaven and earth. Boom! Nidoking raised his fist and punched out, causing a sound of air explosion, as if all directions were enhanced. Looking at this scene, Zhang Xingyun had a new understanding of Zygote's ability. Team Rocket again. Then, Zhang Xingyun rubbed his eyebrows again. Since it reminded him like this, its current state must be the work of Team Rocket. It was so powerful, but it was made like this by the Rocket organization, which made him recognize Team Rocket again. Originally, he was thinking that, when he broke through the championship, he would take the initiative to attack and kill Qiu Long. It depends on the situation. He slowed down. The Rocket team is a bit tricky, and he can't control it. Forget it. What's the point of thinking about these now? Let's take it one step at a time. His heart, which was originally a little floating, sank again after thinking about these. "What are you thinking about?" Nangang Yao's voice sounded in his ears. Zhang Xingyun looked over and saw her walking slowly towards him with something in her hand. "No." Zhang Xingyun took the thing from her hand. The two of them sat down and opened the package and started eating together. Nidoking has broken through. Why does it feel stronger? There is also a strong pressure on him. Nangang Yao felt Nidoking's situation and said, "Well, it just happened to break through just now." Zhang Xingyun replied while eating. "It's stronger again. The gap between you and me has widened a lot." Nangang Yao sighed. "I think it's still a little weak." "That's your illusion. You are already very strong. I dare say that among the same age, you are definitely the best." "Really? What if we are different ages? What's wrong? Did something happen?" Seeing him like this, Nangang Yao asked with concern. "I just thought about Team Rocket." Boom! As he spoke, a wave of air came, followed by unique pressure. It's Regirock. The two looked over and saw that Regirock, who was originally stuck in the yellow rock, slowly stood up, revealing its sturdy and strong figure. It then took its steps. With each step, the ground also made a sound. Ragi, the orange dots in the shape of H at the head position all lit up. Regirock successfully revived. Nido Nido Mido Heibu. The movement of Regirock also attracted the attention of the electric shock monsters, and they all surrounded him. Regirock seemed a little confused, turning his body and patrolling the surroundings, as if he was looking at something. Finally, when he looked at Zhang Xingyun, he stopped and took a step forward. Bang bang bang. With each step of Regirock, the ground made a muffled bang. Regirock stopped in front of him, leaned down, and said something to him. For some reason, he naturally felt a sense of familiarity with the person in front of him. "Welcome, Regirock," Zhang Xingyun said, patting Regirock's hard body. Like it, he also felt a sense of familiarity with it, and then opened the system to check its information. Name, Regirock. Attribute, rock. Characteristics, solid. Qualification, gold. Strength, qua-seeking. Initial skills, falling rocks, stomping, primal power, rock collapse, mount tase pressure, 100,000 volts, iron wall, arm hammer, sharp stone attack, electromagnetic cannon, destruction. Death ray, sleep, hold on. Regirock's whole body is made of grey and orange rocks, and there is an H pattern composed of 7 orange dots in front of his head. There are 2 thick rock arms, the hands are 2 huge grey rocks, and the shoulders are made of huge and towering orange thorn-like rocks, with several pieces of broken rocks connecting the hands. The torso is a columnar rock with an uneven surface, and there are 2 orange pieces on the left chest and above the right leg. The legs are short, and there are 3 orange rock spikes on the back, arranged vertically, and there is a relatively inconspicuous grey rock tail. Golden qualification, qua-seeking. Strength. Is this a divine beast? After reading Regirock's information, Zhang Xingyun couldn't help but be absent-minded. Is this a divine beast? Its starting point is different from other elves. Hassan Heibu. The electric shock beasts felt a pressure coming from it, and felt the breath it exuded, and were also stunned for a few seconds. They broke through to the qua-seeking level at that time, and they didn't know how many battles they had fought, and how much training they had endured. Is this the gap between them? Chapter 670, The Additional Benefits of the Divine Beast. Regirock's burly body half crouched down to show respect. Okay, let's work hard together next. Regirock, congratulations. From now on, you are also a divine beast user. Nangongyeo smiled and congratulated. Ha ha ha. Zhang Xingyun laughed loudly and stretched out a hand. A diamond-shaped stone appeared out of thin air, and it looked very sharp. This is the reason for Regirock, Nangongyeo said immediately after seeing it. Well, it should be. Zhang Xingyun looked at the stone that turned into a spinning stone on his palm and replied softly. At the first moment of Regirock's resurgence, a magnificent rock-type power surged into his body, and he could use it with a little feeling. It appeared in addition to the original superpowers, and could also control the energy of rocks. Is this a divine beast? Zhang Xingyun felt the energy in his body, and at this moment, he felt that his vitality had increased a lot. Well, if not, how can you say it's a divine beast, master? After taming a divine beast, you can gain certain abilities. If you are a person with abilities, you can gain more benefits. Nangongyeo explained on the side, telling what she knew. Like now, the rock on your palm is one of them. Your life level will also be leapt, and your lifespan will be increased. You may not feel it now, but there is already a faint pressure on you. Wow, it turns out that taming a divine beast has so many benefits. Zhang Xingyun was surprised. He thought that he had tamed a divine beast spirit, and he just tamed an elf. He didn't expect that he would also gain so many benefits. Of course, but the premise is that you get its recognition and successfully tamed it. Besides, the divine beast is not a cabbage. It's still a question whether you can meet it. So you can meet Regirock. I don't know how lucky you are. Nangongyeo said with a little envy. Haha, after hearing what you said, I really feel that my luck is bursting. I can actually meet it. After being explained by her, Zhang Xingyun had a new concept about this. Afterwards, Zhang Xingyun instructed Regirock to demonstrate on the field. After the demonstration, Zhang Xingyun nodded repeatedly. Regirock's comprehension was extremely strong, and it was common for him to draw inferences from one instance. His combat power was also different from that of ordinary qua-seeking elves. Okay, let's stop here for today. We should go back. Zhang Xingyun smiled, took out the elf ball, put all the elves back into the elf ball, and walked out of the training room with Nangang Yeo. After sending her back, he went to the breeding house again, put Nidoking and the others there, and then returned to the dormitory. Of course, Ridgerok and Zygarde's elf balls were naturally carried close to their bodies, and Madame Huaji was also brought with him. Catcher, there was a sound at the door, and Zhang Xingyun walked into the new dormitory, just when the three of them were there. Brother Nejuan is here. He went to training, right after being discharged from the hospital. You are really amazing. After seeing that it was him, Lan Yuchen admired him, and asked himself that, if it were him, he would not be able to start training, right after being discharged from the hospital. Hey, I've been lying down these days, and I'm not comfortable. Zhang Xingyun smiled, and found a place to sit down. As soon as he sat down, Pei Chenjun, who was drinking coffee opposite Zhang Xingyun, paused and looked at him with some doubts. He felt a heavy breath on him. Have you broken through? Pei Chenjun immediately put down the coffee and asked. Well, I guess so. Oh, are you practicing some magic? Why do I feel a sense of pressure when facing you? Pei Chenjun said, drinking the coffee in his hand. Really? Why can't I feel it? Xingyun is still the same. Lan Yuchen said, not feeling anything on him. Well, I have had some adventures recently. I will show you, when I have the chance. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. After thinking for a long time, he decided not to tell them the news about Ridgerok, and wait for a while. After chatting for a while, Zhang Xingyun got up, and went to wash up. After finishing, he came to the room, to sit cross-legged and practice. Now his body has not fully recovered, and he has to recover quickly, so that he can do things more conveniently. It is already December, and the competition in January is not far away. This period of time is just right for the sprint. In the next 3 days, Zhang Xingyun was active in the school, and did not go out. Occasionally, he would let the electric monsters exercise on the battlefield, and many students challenged him. His life was quite fulfilling. After 3 days of recuperation, he finally recovered completely. There was also a factor of Ridgerok. If it were not for it, it might take a few days to recover completely. Boom, a wave of air swept out from his body, blowing up the decorations in the training room. The peak of the middle stage of the king. Zhang Xingyun opened his eyes, and a ray of light flashed in his eyes. He was stronger. Even if he was fighting against a Pokémon of the same strength now, Zhang Xingyun believed that he would not lose. Looking around, the forest lizard and Jenga were training, and Nidoking and the others were sitting together, chatting about something, and Ridgerok was among them. It's past 7 in the evening. Let's stop here today. Zhang Xingyun looked at the time, and decided to go back tomorrow to fight. Thinking of this, he put the elves back into the elf balls, opened the door of the training room, came to the training room opposite, called Nangang Yeo, and the two had dinner together, and took a walk in the school. I'm going out tomorrow. Do you want to come with me? While walking, Zhang Xingyun asked Nangang Yeo. Okay, I've been a little lazy recently, and I'm planning to go out. Nangang Yeo replied with a smile, took his arm, and walked on the track. The university was very lively at night. Dancing and singing could be seen everywhere, and there were many elves performing, which attracted cheers. After walking a few steps, Zhang Xingyun and his partner were surrounded by many students. They all had admiring eyes, holding notebooks for him to sign, and then took a photo together. The battle a few days ago made him famous. As they took pictures, more and more people came. Zhang Xingyun and his partner disappeared in an instant. How is it? How does it feel to be welcomed? Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo appeared under a kapok tree. They are quite enthusiastic. Yeah, those girls all squeezed towards you. Nangang Yeo said lightly. I avoided them. Zhang Xingyun explained. Thank goodness you did this, otherwise, Okay. Looking at her, Zhang Xingyun smiled a few times, then sent her back to the dormitory building, and returned to the dormitory himself. Chapter 671 Ability and Blastoise Breakthrough. After returning to the dormitory, all three roommates were there. After chatting for a while, Zhang Xingyun went to wash up and then returned to his room to practice. Soon, a night passed. When it was still dawn, Zhang Xingyun opened his eyes, washed up, and went to the downstairs of the girls' dormitory. I'm here. Well, let's go. Okay. After the two of them met up, they went to the school's breeding house to pick up the elves and had breakfast in the school cafeteria. There were fewer pedestrians on the road in the morning. A car whizzed by, blowing up the fallen leaves on the road and drifting to another location. Fortunately, the appearance of Heavenly Secret will not cause so many casualties when the secret realm descends. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yeo walked on a ruin and explored the interior. This was originally a small county town. A secret realm descended 2 days ago. Fortunately, there was a warning from Heavenly Secret, and the people here were arranged to retreat early, and no large number of casualties were caused. Let's go. The elves here are too weak. Let's go inside and take a look. Okay. The two took steps and moved quickly. Generally, when a secret realm first descends, there are always some relatively precious treasures. In addition to treasures, there are also powerful elves. Swish when the two passed by, a few scholard eyes hiding in the dark corner next to them lit up. Too weak. Zhang Xingyun said lightly, and then his figure quickly passed by without paying attention to them. These elves are only of ordinary level, and are of no use. Boom boom boom, the ground shook, and Richelok's burly body stood on the ground, revealing a powerful pressure. At its feet, there were many elves laying. These elves lying on the ground were not weak either. The worst one had the strength of the early stage of the Quasi King, but under Richelok's hands, they were defeated and fell to the ground after a few rounds, and some were even killed on the spot. Ragi Richelok moved slightly, looking at these elves that were defeated by it. His heart was calm. Great, Richelok. Zhang Xingyun appeared behind Richelok and praised. Ragi Rock is worthy of its name as a divine beast and its golden qualifications. In battle, it does not need Zhang Xingyun's command, and it can fight beautifully, with first-class combat awareness. Boom boom boom, a roar came from the distance, which was where Nangang Yeo was. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun put away Ragi Rock, released the forest lizard and Jenga, and walked over there. After arriving at the place, Nangang Yeo also solved the battle. She was facing a king-level Sun Rock, which was also taken down by her several Quasi-King elves. It's okay. It's definitely okay. After the two said a few words, they left the place, leaving a bumpy field. A battle was taking place on a vast sandy plain. A rock giant was fighting with two city dragons. The rock giant was naturally Ridgerrock, and the two city dragons in front of it were not weak either. Both of them were level 1 elves in the late Quasi-King stage. However, at this moment, facing Ridgerrock, they seemed a little uneasy, and were suppressed and beaten by Ridgerrock in the early Quasi-King stage. In the air far away, Zhang Xingyun stood on the body of Metagross, with Jenga and Forest Lizard beside him, watching the battle on the field quietly, and also releasing his mental power to detect the surroundings. Chamo the Forest Lizard stood behind him, and said something to him, which meant that it would also participate in the battle. Don't worry, there will be a time for you to play. Zhang Xingyun replied, watching the battle on the field. As expected, after a fierce battle, the two city dragons were taken down by Ridgerrock, and the heads with extremely strong defense were also hit by Ridgerrock to create several cracks. Zhang Xingyun also estimated the combat power of Ridgerrock. Ridgerrock seemed to have sensed something, pointed in a direction, and said something. Did you find anything? Ragi, I see. Maybe it's the same as you. Come out, Bangilus. Bangilus came out of the Pokeball and stood in front of him. Bangilus paused for a moment, then looked at the place where Ridgerrock pointed. Bangilus, well, let's go. Zhang Xingyun fiddled with his watch, informed Nangang Yeo, and walked with the two Pokemons. 20 minutes later, Zhang Xingyun and several Pokemons appeared in a place hundreds of meters underground. There were still several Pokemons lying in the distance, and they had no breath on their bodies. In front of them was a vein of ore, and there were still some stars shining on the ore, which was very beautiful. It's Starlight Rock. No wonder it attracted your attention. Zhang Xingyun smiled and looked at the Starlight Rock in front of him. There were still traces of being bitten on it, and it was emitting a mist. Ragi Richelok said a few times. came to the edge of the vein and touched it with his arms. The energy on the ore vein was compressed in large waves under the control of Richelok. After a while, dozens of crystal clear minerals with soft light appeared in front of Zhang Xingyun and several elves. This is the starlight rock compressed by Richelok, which contains extremely rich energy. Richelok said to Bangulus and Crystal Steelix, and took the lead, to pick up a piece of compressed starlight ore. However, it did not eat it directly, but integrated it into its body. Bangulus, raw Crystal Steelix and Bangulus were not polite, and each took a piece and swallowed it. Bangulus after swallowing, Bangulus looked satisfied, lying aside, lazily patting his stomach. It seems that eating this piece of ore compressed by Richelok is enough for it to digest for a long time. Richelok still has this method. Now, Bangulus is lucky. Zhang Xingyun smiled and put away the rest. The energy contained in it is extremely terrifying. Bangulus and Crystal Steelix each ate one piece and couldn't eat any more. But Richelok ate 2 pieces at once before stopping. In the following time, Zhang Xingyun explored this area and found a lot of treasures. The harvest was gratifying. Among them, Zhang Xingyun also discovered several other abilities of Richelok. Boom 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 hua la la. After a few roars, Blastoise floated on a large lake, and its breath fluctuated. This is a sign that Blastoise is about to break through. Kami Blastoise roared and struggled to hit the bottleneck of the king. After these battles, it has now reached this step. As Blastoise roared, dots of blue water vapor rose up and surrounded Blastoise. Zhang Xingyun, who was far away, saw this and sent a few things in his hand up to assist Blastoise's breakthrough. Chapter 672, King Level Blastoise. Kami, a hearty roar came from the Blastoise, which successfully broke through the bottleneck and entered the realm of the King of Heaven. Who as it broke through, a wave of air blew in, carrying a lot of water vapor. Swish, the Blastoise jumped out of the river and floated above the water surface, surrounded by the power of lava guide and heavy water vapor. Kami, the double cannons on its back moved slightly, aiming at the distance of the lake. Bang bang bang, a few muffled sounds. A powerful attack shot out and hit the water surface. Bang, after the crash, the lake raised a wave of more than 10 feet high, carrying water, grass, river mud and other things and splashing everywhere. Kami, the Blastoise, nodded with satisfaction and was quite satisfied with his attack. Floating on the water surface, it came to Zhang Xingyun's side. Kami okay, it's good that it broke through. Zhang Xingyun said with a smile. Now that one of his Pokémons has broken through to the king level, it's worth being happy. He then opened the system to check the information of Blastoise. Name, Blastoise, male. Attribute, water. Characteristics, torrent. Qualification, light purple. Strength, king level. In the early stage skills, impact, tail shaking, rocket headbutt, retracting into shell, water gun, wave missile, freezing ray, water cannon, water wave, pray for rain, iron wall, cannon, water cannon, frozen wind, dragon wave, self-encouragement. Is it still light purple? Zhang Xingyun murmured, after reading Blastoise's information. Blastoise's qualification is still light purple. Judging from the display on the system interface, it has also improved a lot, but it is not enough to be promoted to the level of deep purple. Soon, Zhang Xingyun stopped struggling. The qualification of light purple is light purple, which is already stronger than 98% of Pokémons. Zhang Xingyun led the elves to a place with pleasant scenery. On the grass, Nangang Yeo sat on the picnic blanket and prepared. We came just in time to eat. Nangang Yeo said with a smile, and put the prepared food on it. Zhang Xingyun sat on it, and the two of them started eating together. The elves surrounded them and also ate. Has the wind speed dog also broken through? Zhang Xingyun looked at the wind speed dog next to him, and found that it had broken through to the peak of the late Quasi King. Well, after a day of fighting, there has been a small breakthrough. Nangang Yeo replied. Dream Demon has also broken through to the Quasi King, and the progress is still quite fast. Zhang Xingyun continued. Well, how is your cooperation with Richelok? Fortunately, it is very strong. With the strength of the early Quasi King, it can defeat 2 elves in the late Quasi King. It is worthy of being a divine beast. Zhang Xingyun recalled the battle of Richelok and said slowly. Haha, that's of course necessary, otherwise why are the divine beasts so popular? Nangang Yeo said, then seemed to have thought of something, looked at him and continued. By the way, are you going to use Ragnarok in the competition? It depends on the situation. If by then, Nidoking and the others have made significant progress in their strength, I will. Zhang Xingyun replied. Now there is only more than a month left before the food stall. During this period, the chances of Nidoking and Giant Claw Mantis, who are already in the middle stage of the Heavenly King, breaking through is still not high. The last time Nidoking broke through, it was still thanks to the power of Zygarde. Unless there is a similar adventure, maybe he can break through to the late Heavenly King within a month. However, with the current strength, Zhang Xingyun is still confident that he can get a good result in the competition. Well, this competition will surely produce a large number of geniuses, and maybe there will be a few Divine Beast Masters. Nangang Yeo guessed. It's not ruled out. Zhang Xingyun nodded in agreement. After all, the Registralu he faced a few days ago was an example. Maybe there are one or two who haven't shown up yet. The two of them ate and chatted. Someone is approaching. Hey, it's him. Zhang Xingyun paused while eating. 1,000 meters away, a man and an elf were walking towards them. It was a young man with a slightly dark complexion and a slender body, with a slender Koga Greninja. This is spiritual power. Someone is here. The young man murmured, and then spoke loudly. The pronunciation was a little strange. It didn't sound like the voice of China, but the tone of the country next door. It's him. Nangang Yeo also recognized the young man who had seen him in Xianfu Dojo. Hello, I have no ill intentions. I'll leave now. As he said that, the young man bowed slightly to the two of them, and then walked in another direction. Listening to the tone of the voice, it seems to be a Japanese. Hearing his words, Zhang Xingyun said, after all, the accent of this language is still very easy to recognize. Zhang Xingyun wanted to go up and make some acquaintance, but the man had already walked away. In order to avoid misunderstanding, he gave up and did not move forward. Can people from other countries also participate in our Chinese elf competition? Zhang Xingyun held his chin and said softly, of course they can, but the number is not large. Nangang Yeo replied. In addition, foreign exchange students and other groups can also participate. Oh. Zhang Xingyun suddenly realized and nodded. Nowadays, among Chinese universities, especially the top 10 famous universities, there are some foreign exchange students. Correspondingly, there are also Chinese people who go to famous foreign universities for exchange students. Thanks to the Elf Age, Chinese universities are not inferior to foreign universities, and even slightly better in some aspects. Therefore, there are still many foreigners who come to Chinese universities for exchange and study every year. At this time, it was almost evening, and the two did not want to go out, so they camped and rested at the original location. Soon, darkness enveloped the entire sky, and the stars in the sky appeared on the sky, twinkling with starlight. On the ground, the two sat by the campfire, snuggling together, looking at the starry sky. The electric shock beasts around them were shouting, and with their exposed breath, no blind elves would attack them. In the distance, there were continuous roars, and there were also miserable screams mixed in. It was probably that they encountered hunters, and made a final resistance, before becoming a full meal. Hey boo, the electric shock beast looked to the side, raised his arm and a thunder was ready to go. Shashasha after a rustling sound, the elf in the dark quietly left amid the warning of the electric shock beast. Hey, a year ago, I couldn't have imagined that one day I could be so relaxed in the wild, like on vacation. Zhang Xingyun looked at the surroundings filled with darkness, and smiled with emotion. In the past, in the wild at night, he always had to hide in the dark, and restrain his breath for fear of being discovered. Nangang Yeo watched him speak quietly and listened. As the two were talking, ripples appeared in the space high in the sky, which was very subtle. Chapter 673, Another Secret Realm Arrives. Beep beep at a military base near the Demon City, heavenly secret sounded. Another secret realm has descended near Sikan County, and the speed is very fast. Sikan County? How can there be another secret realm descending? Fortunately, the original residents there have been safely evacuated. An elderly man said. Report. According to data analysis, more than 100 people have entered it. More than 100 people. What are most of them? To reply to the commander, they are all engaged in the trainer industry, among whom, well, edit a text message to remind them. Whether they can survive depends on the situation, and it can be considered that they are unlucky. Order the 101st and 102nd Legions to temporarily block the place and persuade the trainers who are going there to leave. Yes. Notify the search officers and others, and the military base moved in an orderly manner and launched an operation. Zhang Xingyun and Nangang Yao, who were in the wild, sat cross-legged on the grass and practiced carefully. The elves slept around in groups of 3 or 2, and of course they were still vigilant. Whoosh whoosh, a gust of wind blew by, and Zhang Xingyun immediately opened his eyes. He seemed to feel something, and looked up at the sky. The space there was surging, emitting chaotic space energy. Boom boom, cracks suddenly appeared in the sky, and from the cracks, you can see forests, hills, lakes, elves, rocks and other scenes. Boom boom, the ground shook violently. Oh no, a secret realm is coming. Nangang Yao also opened his eyes and stood up. The two quickly put the elves back into the elf balls, and then took off. Boom boom boom, the secret realm began to descend. Roar, suddenly, an armored Tyrannosaurus appeared in front of the two, roared, and swung its tail over. Puff, boom boom, the ground where the two were standing originally cracked under this blow. Whoosh, a ball of light attacked, and hit the armored Tyrannosaurus. With a bang, the huge body of the armored Tyrannosaurus was directly lifted up and smashed on the mound behind it, losing consciousness. Who after dealing with the armored Tyrannosaurus, several sonic booms sounded in the sky, and many flying elves rushed towards the two. Roar, who were on the ground. There were also continuous roars, and Scarlet Eyes looked over, with strong and weak breaths. Let's go first. With that, the two of them teleported together, and disappeared in the distance. After several turns, they came to a cave, sealed the cave entrance, concealed the breath, and settled down temporarily. Why is there another secret realm coming? Our luck is not very good. Zhang Xingyun exhaled and said slowly. 2 secret realms actually descended in the same place. The probability of this is still relatively low, but they encountered it. Boom, 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 the ground shook from time to time, and there were sounds coming from outside. It must be very lively outside. Zhang Xingyun also released his mental power to explore the surroundings, to prevent elves from attacking. In a turbulent time, the two spent the night. The next day, when the two walked out of the cave, they found that the place that was originally a forest had now turned into a series of mountains. There was also a large lake with rippling water in the distance. The vast and mighty people were heading in the same direction, and they didn't know where they were. Where are we? Zhang Xingyun asked, looking at the new landscape. It's about 200 miles away from the demon city. Nangang Yao looked at the equipment in his hand and replied. 200 miles? Forget it, let's go. Maybe there are bad things here. Zhang Xingyun released the forest lizard, Metagross and Jenga, and randomly chose a direction to walk. Nangang Yao also released the dream demon and Pacogius and followed. Boom boom boom, not long after they walked, they encountered a group of warhammer dragons whizzing past, causing a burst of dust. The two retreated, and did not attract their attention. This secret realm is not small. Among the group of warhammer dragons, there are actually Taking level beings. Zhang Xingyun looked at the billowing dust in the distance and judged. Well, we have to be careful. Maybe there are champion level elves here. Nangang Yao also took it seriously. Champion level elves are still very threatening to the two of them, so they can't be careless. Champion elves, if there is a chance, we can have a fierce battle. Zhang Xingyun estimated that the whole team gathered their strength to fight against the ancient dragon, but ended up in a mess. After a period of time, Zhang Xingyun wanted to see how strong they are now. While the two were talking, a group of elves in a jungle ran straight towards the figure in front. Greninja, full strength flying water shuriken. The man stopped and said to the Greninja next to him. Cool. Greninja stopped and put his hands together. In an instant, water vapor surged in this space, and a giant water sword soared into the sky and slashed down. Raw woo, it was like a strong wind passing through the area below, and a large number of trees collapsed. The elves chasing below also screamed, and blood splattered under this attack. but there were several powerful Pokémons that still had the strength to fight back, and they attacked immediately. Lucario, Pidgeot, you two come out to help. Lucario, Pidgeot. After the two Pokémons came out, they immediately joined the battlefield. Soon, most of the Pokémons that were chasing them were defeated. Roar, a roar that resounded through the sky came from afar. Just by listening to the sound, one could tell the powerful strength of the owner of the sound. After hearing it, the young man immediately put away the Pokémons and left the place immediately. At the same time, Zhang Xingyun and the other person had just finished a battle. Forest Lizard, Jenga, Metagross, and Regirock all participated in it. Joa, this Cocodora has good qualifications. Do you want to cultivate one? Zhang Xingyun pointed at a Cocodora and said to Nangan Yeo. From the system interface, this Cocodora has a high qualification and has a dark blue qualification. If cultivated, it will be a good Pokémon. No, Boscadora is not a Pokémon I'm considering. Let's forget it. Nangan Yeo shook her head and said she was not very fond of elves like Boscadora. Okay. After packing up, the two left the place and walked away. After walking for a long time, the two came to the grassland. Looking straight ahead, they could not see the end in the distance. Boom boom boom, the ground shook, accompanied by a heat wave, and a group of flame horses roared past. This movement was caused by them. After discovering the two of them, the group of flame horses did not attack them and ran straight away. Naturally, the two did not attack them. They rode on the back of the wind speed dog and ran on the huge grassland. Chapter 674, Ancient Armor. Running on the grassland, occasionally groups of elves would roar past. Few elves would attack the two, and those that did were left far behind by the wind speed dog. Moo boom boom boom, a group of head exploding buffaloes rumbled past, filling the air with billowing dust. The wind speed dog stopped, and the two rolled over. The wind speed dog ran for a long time, but there was no end in sight. Roar, the domineering Tyrannosaurus appeared on the field, carrying the two people into the sky and flying far away. Along the way, some weaker elves, under the magnificent dragon power of the Tyrannosaurus, all hid away and did not dare to compete with it. The Tyrannosaurus flapped its wings and flew past quickly, and the scenery on the ground quickly receded. Roar, while flying, a dragon roar sounded from behind. Zhang Xingyun and the others turned their heads and saw that it was a fossil pterosaur with scalloped eyes and full of arrogance, roaring loudly at the Tyrannosaurus. The strength of this fossil pterosaur is not low either, possessing the strength of a mid-level heavenly king. It sped up and quickly approached the Tyrannosaurus, about to launch an attack. When it approached, Pidgeot came out of the Pokeball with a blue glow on its body and attacked with a powerful Bravabird, then folded its body and returned to the side of Tyrannosaurus. Pidgeot did this, and the fossil pterosaur seemed to be provoked, chasing after it and making an inexplicable sound. Forget it, let's speed up and ignore it, Zhang Xingyun said to the two Pokémons. It's rare to have a Pokémon like a fossil pterosaur here, Nangan Yeo said, with a slightly surprised tone. The fossil pterosaur is a kind of Pokémon, and Pokémon scholars have also studied it. Through special instruments, the fossil can be activated to revive the fossil pterosaur. But this is in the wild, and there are fossil pterosaurs. Regarding the secret realm, who can say for sure? Zhang Xingyun replied. Maybe these fossil pterosaurs were not revived through fossils, as the world of the elves was so big. Ao roar, several roars sounded from all directions, and many fossil pterosaurs flew in from all directions, rushing towards the two people. Most of the fossil pterosaurs that rushed to kill were at the level of Quasi-King, and there were also a few king level beings. Roar, 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 is it calling for its companions? Looking at this scene, Zhang Xingyun's expression condensed. More than a dozen rays of light broke through the air and rushed directly to Pidgeot and Tyrannosaurus. Boom, more than a dozen rays of light collided in the air, and then a huge mushroom cloud appeared in the sky with waves of air. But the two people and two elves in the middle had already disappeared from their original place with a teleportation before. In the jungle on the ground, Zhang Xingyun and Nangan Yeo appeared here. Roar, woo, the fossil pterosaurs in the sky roared with joy, as if they were sure that the opponent who provoked them would be smashed to pieces by them, showing their strength. Then, dozens of fossil pterosaurs flew away together. On the ground, the two also walked in the jungle, followed by several elves, paying attention to the movements around them. Swish, after a burst of movement, several electric spiders emerged from the bushes, staring straight at the two. What, do you want to teleport away? Zhang Xingyun asked closer. Fight. It's no use hiding all the time. Okay. As soon as the voice fell, the giant gold monsters and other elves beside him took the lead and killed the group of electric spiders together. Zhang Xingyun's dream demon and other elves also came on the field. Bang bang bang, the field instantly became lively, the two sides collided, skills flew, and various colorful moves filled the field. Hey boo, after a burst of thunder and lightning, the ground seemed to have been plowed, full of charred black, and several electric spiders larger than their own were lying on the side. These few were very powerful, and one of them was a level 1 king, but was destroyed by the electric shock monster. The electric shock monster looked at the complicated battle situation on the field and was ready to rescue at any time. 10 minutes later, as the last electric spider lay down, the battle was announced to be over. Chamo the forest lizard was injured and looked at his victory with a satisfied look. Another guest is coming, Zhang Xingyun said loudly, reminding the elves on the field. Shashasha, a group of dragon king scorpions appeared from all directions, surrounded the two and the elves, and immediately opened their fangs and mouths, spraying balls of extremely smelly venom. Puff puff puff, before the forest lizards could catch their breath, they had to fight again. Boom boom, the battle started again, and the field was instantly in chaos. Bangji Bangelus also came out of the Pokeball and immediately launched its sandstorm domain. Rolling yellow sand swept out, and many dense towering trees were uprooted. Under the impact of the wind and sand, they turned into countless pieces. This green jungle instantly turned into yellow sand. Boom boom boom, the giant gold monsters were also waiting for me, and they all rushed forward to fight. Roar roar roar, there was another roar in the sky, and a group of fossil pterosaurs flew over. Ouch, there were also waves of roars rising and falling from the ground in the distance. Zhang Xingyun's face condensed. Under his Pokémon power detection, there were more Pokémon coming from all directions. There were a lot of them, and there were many Pokémon at the level of the king. Forget it, let's go. Zhang Xingyun thought for a while, and decided to retreat first. He packed up casually, and disappeared with the Pokémon. After a few teleports, the two appeared in a deep valley. The valley looked a bit desolate, with a few withered weeds growing. The rocks and soil here were also light yellow and a little damp, with some blood stains on them. In the shadows in the distance, there were also a few broken bones. As soon as the two appeared, scarlet eyes suddenly lit up in the shadows on all sides. Bang bang bang, slowly, a group of elves walked out, staring at the two and the elves. Meowsagi Poco, the elves surrounded the two in the middle, looking at the elves around with a vigilant look. These are the ancient armor, sickle helmet and others. We are breaking into their nest, Zhang Xingyun said as he looked at the group of elves slowly walking towards them. Roar, 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 then, a strong pressure swept over, which also made the two people perk up. This pressure is not something that ordinary elves can emit, because they have only felt this pressure from champion level elves. A blue-shelled elf slowly walked out of the shadows, and when he looked closely, it was an ancient armor. This ancient armor was about 2 meters and 5 meters tall, with its claws gleaming coldly, and its vertical eyes looked at the two of them calmly. Seeing this, the surrounding elves made way for it. Chapter 675, Nidoking's Progress. It's the champion level ancient armor, Zhang Xingyun said slowly, looking at the ancient armor coming. A strong pressure came over her. Joa, I'm not going to leave. Zhang Xingyun looked at the ancient armor coming from a distance with a fighting spirit. He planned to fight with this ancient armor here. Okay. Zhang Xingyun nodded slightly, agreeing with his behavior, and also preparing the Elido on her body. Nido, a red light flashed, and the burly Nidoking appeared on the scene, roaring at the ancient armor coming, and the momentum was not overwhelming. A breath of pressure came out of Nidoking's body, and the surrounding elves felt this breath, and became a little uneasy. Roar, the ancient armor also had some abnormalities, but it quickly reacted, and then a powerful water cannon broke through the air. Nido, at this moment, Nidoking entered the bonded state, and was also amplified by the spirit attachment technique, and his strength was raised to the peak level of the late Heavenly King. Buzz buzz buzz, the ground began to shake, and in front of Nidoking, several extremely hard earth walls appeared, resisting the attacks that broke through the air. Bang bang bang, the attack of the ancient armor shattered all the earth walls that blocked the way. The last attack reached Nidoking and was lightly blocked by him and annihilated in the air. There is still a gap. Looking at this scene, Zhang Xingyun murmured. The ground shook and several forces spread from the ground. Nidoking was supported by the ground under his feet and ran towards the ancient armor with dazzling purple light coming out of his arms. Boom boom boom, the mountain in the distance suddenly collapsed and rolled down. Rocks rolled down. A sky-high stone blade appeared in the smoke and fell directly. There were also bang 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 sounds from it, and some elves screamed. Nidoking retreated, and his tall body crashed into the mountain behind with a bang. The ancient armor slowly walked out of the smoke. His eyes were full of scarlet, and there was a small scar on his shoulder, probably left by Nidoking just now. Roar, roar, roar. The pain on his shoulder made the ancient armor angry. It was actually hurt by a Pokémon with lower strength than it. This was a shame. Boom, boom, boom. Then, pieces of hard rocks, under its control, smashed towards Nidoking. These rocks were extremely hard, and Nidoking needed to spend a little effort to smash them, but he was inevitably hit by the overwhelming rocks. Seeing this, Zhang Xingyun teleported and sent Nidoking out of the area. At Nidoking's request, he sent it to the ancient armor. Boom, Nidoking raised his fist and punched, but the ancient armor's reaction was also very fast. It crossed its claws and blocked Nidoking's sudden attack. Its tail moved and hit Nidoking, knocking it staggering. Then, a water flow burst rushed forward and once again blasted Nidoking more than 10 meters away. Nidoking stopped and blocked with his arms. In these rounds of confrontation, it did not gain any advantage, but was repeatedly beaten back by it. Sure enough, a champion level elf is not so easy to defeat. Zhang Xingyun said indifferently in the back, and the performance of Nidoking in front of him was also expected. However, from Nidoking's performance just now, it can also be seen that Nidoking has improved. Last time, the whole team gathered their strength to fight against the champion level ancient dragon, but it only took a few moves and ended in embarrassment. Now, Nidoking can fight against the ancient armor in front of him for several rounds with his own strength. Although he was suppressed, it can also be seen that Nidoking has improved a lot. Boom boom boom. On the field, Metagross, Lady Huaji and others also joined the battle and fought fiercely with the elves on the opposite side. The scene instantly flew with moves and roared continuously. Over there, Nidoking fought with the archaic armor for several more rounds, but was still defeated. There was still a wound in his abdomen, which was left by the archaic armor's gleaming claws. A red light flashed by, and the giant claw mantis appeared on the battlefield between the two, attacking the archaic armor and restraining it. Roar, a water tornado swept out from the archaic armor and spread in all directions. Seeing this, the giant claw mantis quickly moved its body and pulled away. On the other side, Nidoking carried the giant rock and, supported by the earth, attacked. The earth and the water met in midair, and a huge wave of air erupted, and several elves around who were unable to dodge were all wrapped up in it. In the end, Nidoking was defeated and fell to the ground. The ancient armor took the opportunity to attack, stepping on heavy waves, leaving water stains everywhere. Hula half of the mountain where Nidoking was originally located was shattered by this attack. Boom, after a period of shaking, smoke and dust rolled. The sky was full of hard rocks rising up, like falling meteors, smashing towards Nidoking, covering a wide area, including the same tribesmen who were fighting with the giant monster. The ground where Nidoking was located rose up, protecting Zhang Xingyun's location. Boom boom boom, the barrier set up by Nidoking collapsed, but it also blocked most of the attacks. Nidoking's roar rang out in the smoke and dust, and at this time, Nidoking fought fiercely with the ancient armor again. The giant mantis passed by and joined in the fight, attacking the ancient armor from both sides. Nidoking fought head on, and the giant mantis assisted from the side, barely holding the ancient armor, but it couldn't last long. After more than 10 rounds, both were hit again and staggered back. Boom, Nidoking grabbed the ground with his feet and used all his strength. Then a small hill not far away moved and smashed towards the ancient armor. Boom, the hill exploded, but what caught its eyes was Nidoking's arms dragging the giant blade and slashing down. A huge rock also emerged from behind the ancient armor and rushed forward from bottom to top. with a muffled sound. Nidoking's moves did not collapse at the first touch, but were slowly pushed sideways. A red light passed by and killed from the side, punching out with 2 fists and hitting its body. The ancient armor pulled back a bit and struck the giant claw mantis first, knocking it away. Bang! The giant claw mantis fell to the side, stopped, and a crack appeared on the red armor on its shoulder. It was seriously injured by this attack. Nido without the restraint of the giant claw mantis. Nidoking fell into a disadvantage in this competition and was knocked back again. But Nidoking was not seriously injured. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.